I was kind of always keenly aware of this when I joined the SEAL teams. And the SEAL teams, I think this problem is, it's probably bad everywhere in Special Operations Command, but I think in the SEAL teams, it might be the very worst in terms of people losing their identity to, I am a Navy SEAL. Part of the problem, and I think part of the reason the SEAL teams has the highest suicide rate of all the SOCOM components, is that you get trapped in that, and people look at you, and I felt this all the time when I was in. People look at you and say, "Wow, you're a Navy SEAL. You must be amazing." And because of that, they want to ask you a million questions about anything, and they think your opinion is way more valid than anyone else's, and so it creates this almost subtle pressure to live up to their expectation. And if you're someone like me who can be a bit of a people pleaser, that creates this invisible pressure, and that invisible pressure leads you to kind of white knuckle your way through things in life. And I think that is probably the silent killer for people in the military and people in special operations in general, is the world puts this expectation on you. You're this all-American hero and this and that. And in doing so, they don't give much space for you to be actually pretty normal person on an everyday basis. This is just my job. I try to be pretty cognizant of that throughout my time in the team.
This is Alone and Unafraid. Let's just do this live. We're talking with Kevin Gatley. He's a former U.S. Navy SEAL.
That's right.
For real.
We're going to get a ratings boost here.
Yeah, perfect. Finally, we can break into the big leagues.
Yeah. But we'll come back and we'll jazz it up. It'll sound good. But
I think that was beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. Welcome to the show, Kevin.
Thanks for having me on. I'm really excited.
So let's go back to what we were just talking about. And I think that's the biggest thing. You become that job becomes your identity. And Tyler and I have talked about this a lot. Is man, I fucking forgot who I was. Before I went in the Army, I used to love to surf and hang out, and I always kind of wanted to be in the military, but I really forgot who I was. And I'm 5 years post-retirement, and I still don't really I'm trying to remember, but I'm not there yet, because I work in a field that's so closely related to my job in the Army that it's really hard to do that. So,
because everybody still wants you to be who you were, right? But they don't want to give you the tools, the space, or the time to be that person. But they want you to show up and be like, "Hey, I did what I used to do." And then oh, will you bring it to the table? So dude, I haven't done it in 8 years. I'm so irrelevant in that field, but everyone still hangs that shit around your neck at work.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, because was that how? Because Kevin, when you got out, you went into construction, right? How was that?
That was great, but I want to go back to something you were just talking about, the labeling people do, right? And I was aware of this for whatever reason. Maybe my mom did a good job raising me. I don't know what, but I was kind of always keenly aware of this when I joined the SEAL teams. And the SEAL teams, I think this problem is, it's probably bad everywhere in Special Operations Command, but I think in the SEAL teams, it might be the very worst in terms of people losing their identity to, I am a Navy SEAL. And part of the problem, and I think part of the reason the SEAL teams has the highest suicide rate of all the SOCOM components, is that you get trapped in that, and people look at you, and I felt this all the time when I was in. People look at you and say, "Wow, you're a Navy SEAL. You must be amazing." And and because of that, they want to ask you a million questions about anything, and they think your opinion is way more valid than anyone else's, and so it creates this almost subtle pressure to live up to their expectation. And if you're someone like me who can be a bit of a people pleaser, that creates this invisible pressure, and that invisible pressure leads you to kind of white knuckle your way through things in life. And I think that is probably the silent killer for people in the military and people in special operations in general, is the world puts this expectation on you. You're this all-American hero and this and that. And in doing so, they don't give much space for you to be actually, I'm a pretty normal person on an everyday basis. This is just my job. I try to be pretty cognizant of that throughout my time in the teams. And I kept a whole bunch of civilian friends that had nothing to do with the military. I didn't go out of my way to talk about my job. If they asked, I'd tell them, but try to keep like a foot in a different world, because I saw from very early in the teams how many guys just like completely, they're just gone. You know, they've been chasing this dream, and then if they do 20 or worse, or 30 or 40 years in, I mean, they have no idea who they are. You know, Thad, you said it's been 5 years and it's taking some time, and I totally get that, because you were in for how long? Like almost 30 years, or
24. Yeah, I did 24. Yeah. So
you spent 24 years, you know, blocking off a significant part of your identity, and then, you know, it's going to take some time to chip away and get it all the way back. I always ask people, I was like, what did you do in middle school? You know, I feel like that's before people start turning away from themselves. Generally, it's like, what were you into in 7th grade?
You start following the crowd a little bit.
Yeah.
It's almost like when you go to the gym, right? How you feel like everybody's staring at you, but everybody in there is just as self-conscious and thinks that everybody is staring at them. Like, oh, I'm the fattest, pudgiest dude in here. That guy's way stronger than me. Look how much she's picking up. And someone's looking at you thinking the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you guys got it probably way tougher, just because, again, like it's the Navy SEAL thing. Everyone's heard of a Navy SEAL. Jocko's out there. You know, Charlie Sheen started it probably.
Charlie Sheen and Michael Biehn.
Yeah, that's it, man.
Are you just talking about Navy SEALs, the best movie ever?
It is probably the best movie. I can't tell you how many times I watched it as a kid.
I just rewatched Under Siege the other day with Steven Seagal.
What was the girl that? Who was that? Not Pamela Anderson. Who was the girl that came out with the birthday cake?
I don't remember who it is. I don't remember who it is.
Nicole.
She had been some like Playmate of the Year, Playmate of the Month.
Yeah, wasn't it Nicole the one that died? She married
Nicole Anna Smith or something like that.
Anna Nicole Smith.
Anna Nicole Smith. That's who it is. Yeah. Wasn't she on Under Siege?
I honestly don't remember. I don't remember what she looked like when she was young, so could have been.
Yeah.
There's a certain centerfold I keep drawing my mind back to.
I did. I watched Navy SEALs. I mean, probably I could tell you every line in that movie. And you know the part where they're going over the bridge and Charlie Sheen jumps off?
Yeah.
We did that. Like we were like, there's a bridge by my house and we were like, dude, get over close, just like Navy SEALs, and just jump like right off. It was a horrible idea.
We never did it off a bridge. We did it in the winter, because I grew up in upstate New York, and we'd do it off the back of our Jeep into like a snowbank while going 30 miles an hour.
Yeah, actually, there was a kid on my street. His name was Bubba Register, and he.
Of course, it was.
Yeah,
that's a pretty sweet name. Hey, Bubba. Like, no, that's my name.
His Bubba, man, and he became a SEAL. And I remember everybody in the neighborhood was like, "This guy is a fucking badass." Like we would play like Navy SEALs, because I grew up in coastal North Carolina, and we lived in a kind of this little fishing village that's now overrun by Marines from Camp Lejeune, and
the worst.
We would swim out in the creeks and stuff, and you know, snorkel around with you couldn't see shit in there. It's like, you know, zero visibility, but you know, we'd pop out of the water with our guns, and it was a good time, man. So, but
that's funny.
Yeah, but back to what I was saying before is, you know, Tyler and I probably have a similar background, and I bet most people that are in special operations probably have some version of this. Like I grew up skateboarding and surfing, and that was like a very big part of my growing up. And Tyler, we were just talking, he's like, "Oh, I used to skate too." And then like the amount of people that I meet that are in special operations that were into skateboarding and surfing seems really high. I don't know if that, or into music, like playing guitar and like listening to, you know.
Yeah, that totally resonates. I think there's a high percentage of guys that were naturally rebellious spirits, right?
Yeah.
And I think a part of that is why you end up in special operations and not regular Army or regular Navy. But yeah, the same, like very creative people, whether it's like arts or music or like surfer bros. And then of course you get a good chunk of like guys who grew up in Montana hunting big game and stuff like that. We see the same thing in the SEAL team for sure, like in terms of kind of those people. And then a lot of times it's cool to see the arc of someone's life, and they like go back to those things. You know what I mean? After they get out, sometimes it takes some time, but a good buddy of mine, that I think you met him, he was my JTAC in 2017, Frankie.
Yeah, Frankie.
Yeah. Him and I talk about this all the time. We rip on the guys in our community who are like still doing the exact same thing or just talking about the same.
Is he
same
still
stuff.
doing his graphic art stuff?
Yeah, now he's gotten into like strategy and branding.
I have his card right here. I'm pretty sure I still have it.
Well, you need to give Frankie a call.
Yeah. You got to hook me up with him. I don't have his number, but
I'll give it to you.
Look at this shit. Hand to God, look.
There it is.
He made all those awesome SEAL Team 7 Foxtrot Platoon t-shirts we were handing out.
Yeah, dude. That was so. Let me explain this shirt for the people that can't see. It was like wasn't like the pennies or whatever you put on the dead people's eyes. Wasn't that the shirt?
Yeah. That was that platoon's logo.
And then there was the ones that he made were. I have one still. It's upstairs somewhere. They were pretty cool, but SEAL Team 7. So let's just jump into this and we'll come back to what happened with when you got out. But so we met in 2017 in East Africa, and it was SEAL Team 7. And what troop were you guys in? Like,
we were 2 troop. And Foxtrot Platoon.
Fox, yeah. So you were the platoon commander, right, in the Navy, and
that's right.
So for the Army folks that aren't used to SEALs, a SEAL team is roughly the size of a battalion, and then troops are roughly the size of companies. The difference in a SEAL team is the platoons are lettered, not numbered, and so you would. And correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin, but you usually wouldn't say like what troop you're in. You just say what platoon you're in because you know based on the letter what troop it is. Because there's 3 or 4 platoons in a troop. So A, B, C, and D would be troop 1, E, F, G, so on and so forth. So for the folks that aren't, so we met in it was 17, right?
That's right.
God, that seems like yesterday, but that was a while ago. That was like 7 years ago.
We spent some time on the USS Somerset, I believe.
Yeah, the Somerset, and which I was on the Ponce or Ponce. Did you do the Ponce or Ponce?
I've been on it.
Yeah.
And a few others.
Have you been on that one, Tyler? Did you guys? I know that the other Chinooks and 3rd Battalion went on it at some point.
No, thank God I was only on a ship for like 7 days, and that was on the East Coast somewhere here. And I was the Wasp. I want to say Wasp.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. Well,
maybe
the Ponce is old, but the Somerset was not. It would have been less horrible if those poor guys weren't on weeks or month 7 of their 6-month deployment. And then we show up and we're like,
they extended their deployment because of the operations we were doing a month.
And I remember
I would have been pissed.
Dude, we got on that boat so quick, and we got on there so quick that the Huey pilots that we ended up staying in their staterooms. Staterooms. The guy still had naked pictures of his wife on the bunk. So every night I would roll over and like all her photos were there. And like they left all their shampoo and all their because I think they thought we would only be on there for like a week or something. And
I think that's what it was supposed to be originally. And then
it was probably supposed to be. It always
drags into 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah. Because we were on there. Were we there 3 weeks on that ship? Maybe longer?
So.
I don't remember.
I remember that was like the worst one. Yeah, and then we went to the other one.
Yeah. That deployment was like the deployment that kind of was for me. I was like, I think I'm done with I wasn't done with the Army, but I just needed a break, and just to set the stage for Army people that might be listening, when you're on a ship, or even the a lot of SEALs during the GWAT, that was a lot of time in your guys' troop or platoon that most of those guys had never been on a ship before.
That's right.
And for folks that don't know about shipboard life, is all you hear is the stupid bosun whistles. Like fucking every 10 minutes, somebody's doing the bosun, and then the guy comes on the one MC. He's like, now hear this, Catholic church service will be on Sunday, like the same as it always is. And you're in like, we're on a night shift, so we're trying to sleep, and they're just doing business. Like, and I don't remember the guy. Remember the LNO that they gave us? Remember that guy?
I don't remember him, but I know what you're talking about. We always had like
we had like
a ship LNO to help us.
A ship LNO.
Not get lost in the ship, because that's very real. Even on the Somerset's not huge. I mean, it's a big vessel, but man, you get lost quick.
But that guy somehow was able to convince the captain to stop all the whistling stuff. So, and I don't know how he did it, but because I think you weren't you living with the EOD tech who was an officer. He was like an 03. No. Didn't you live with him, or did you go down in berthing with everybody else?
I always went down in berthing. I don't like to be up in the stateroom, so it just felt off to me. I know you pilots are accustomed to your fancy living, so you need it, and you need your 15 hours of sleep.
Yes, exactly.
So I was down in berthing with my guys.
That was like
three beds. It
you
really
put 40
is.
people to a room with 2 shitters.
No, dude, they have a fucking battalion of Marines down there. Like, and it's like gangs.
Are there? Yeah, I was gonna say there's got to be bad neighborhoods in the belly of the beast, right? Like, hey, don't go down that hallway. Stay out of this bulkhead.
The thing. I don't know if I was worried about it, but that always happened when we got on a ship, especially a ship that had been at sea a long time, like the Somerset had at that point in their deployment. And because usually they do a port call every so often, 30 or 45 days, so that people can get off the ship, stretch their legs, and usually get drunk in some random city in some random country around the globe. They hadn't had one in months. And because of the missions we were doing, they extended at sea for an additional month, which meant they were missing a whole bunch of port calls. They were going to have to shorten their trip home. I mean, we just ruined their lives. But nonetheless, anytime we came on a ship, the few females that were on the ship were breaking out the perfume like crazy. I mean, you could smell it everywhere. And the guys on the ship were like, we knew you were coming, because all the girls started spraying themselves.
Oh, no.
And I remember I was on the smoke deck, smoking one night around sunset with one of the guys in my platoon. And this girl just walks right out, and this is the most forward, aggressive approach I've ever heard in my life. I mean, it cracked me up. And my buddy had just been saying, oh, it's a really nice sunset. And she's like, yeah, there's a really private room. We could go check out this sunset, just me and you, if you like. And he's like, he doesn't even know what to say. He's so caught off guard. And then she's like, and I don't have watch for another hour.
Yeah.
Who needs an hour?
I mean, she's been out at sea a while. She probably wants to go a few rounds.
Yeah. Well, they, and also when we were on there, they went River City, and that means like all the communications are cut off. Like there's no internet, there's no cell phones, there's no, they can't talk to anybody except we had internet. But
so it's like real bad when you guys show up to a ship.
Yeah, it's
for real. Everyone like hates you probably, right?
It's the worst. Like the food gets spread thinner, right? Because you got, 20 SEALs, and then, however many guys you had.
Yeah, we had 20, 18 maybe with the mechanics and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. So, food gets spread thinner. The meals are already crap meals on a ship. Although when you're eating at the wardroom, it's a little bit better. And the one card we were able to play as SEALs is that I'd get my whole platoon into the wardroom, and no one would say anything to us because, half of them think that like we can kill everybody with 2 fingers, and the other half just don't want to rock the boat, so they don't question anything. And I'm just like, hey, all 20 of these guys are officers.
Yeah, they the EOD tech, that guy, he was an 03, and he had this Grizzly Adams looking beard. Remember that guy? He was a big dude.
Oh yeah, I do.
And he would always eat in the wardroom with us. And I remember, I don't think he'd ever been on a ship either. And I don't remember if it was him or one of the pilots we were messing with, but the XO of the ship was an Airedale, like a pilot guy. Yeah. And he wasn't, for whatever reason, the seats have like their names on the back of like for the captain and the XO of the ship and like important people. Yep. And they also have coffee cups like hanging on the walls. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember if it was him or one of our junior pilots, but we were like, hey man, just sit right here. There's nobody sitting here. I feel like it was him. And he's like, oh, cool. And he sat down in the XO's chair. And like 5 minutes later, the XO came in and like gets his plate and goes to sit down, and that dude's in his seat. And we're all like looking, he's like, are you guys fucking kidding me right now? And we're like, yeah, sir, we told him not to sit there. And he said, I don't give a shit. He was like, fuck surface warfare. And I remember that the XO, like he knew we were messing with him, and he was like, get the fuck out of my seat. And that guy's face was like, oh, he was so like taken aback by what just happened that these Army guys kind of like played a joke on him, and he ended up sitting. I mean, it was all we laughed about it, and it was kind of funny, but
yeah, but someone like that
stuff seriously.
Yeah, in the regular Navy or the regular Army, sure the same. Like, no one messes with those people ever.
Right.
Yeah. It's always everyone rigid. Just cowers and subservient to their every word, and everything they say is the greatest idea ever. It's insane.
Yeah. I remember. Do you remember when we were? I think you were up there with us. I'm pretty sure you were, and Frankie, and we were briefing that the MEU commander. I feel like it was the MEU commander. And
what is the MEU?
The Marine Expeditionary Unit. We were with I don't know.
I don't remember what
31st Marine Expeditionary.
It's either the 15th or the 31st or the 22nd.
Yeah, they were West Coast Marines, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, right? Then it'd be an odd number then. That's how the Navy and the Marines do things.
I feel like it was 31.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So the MEU was like our backup for all those missions we did. So
yeah.
We always had to read them in and bring them up to speed on kind of what the ski maneuver was and things like that. So that's what we were doing, I think, at the time. Letting them know what we were doing. And then
that battalion commander's 05 was like the dumbest, like fucking dumb. Like I remember, like he was just shocked that, a SEAL and this pilot was like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go over here and fucking shoot these guys. Go over here. And he was like, well, okay, well, what do we do? We're like, nothing. Just sit there and like, we'll holler at you if we need you. And I remember he was just, I don't even remember what was said. He was just so taken aback by us briefing that. And we were kind of like, bro, and over here, and I'm going to zoom, and then you're going to go like this. And he was, well, he said it way more professional, but he was just, it was not what he was used to. And he wasn't having any of it.
Not at all. I think I remember saying like, pretty much we're only going to call you like if we're all dying. Yeah. I think it was something really close to that. Like you could tell there was a joking element to it, but we were kind of not, we were serious, but kind of not serious. Like we're not going to call you guys. And he was like, well, and remember when we did the big mish, he had his QRF, who was like the third string QRF, like kitted up in the whatever hangar bay, like totally kitted out, like waiting. And I'm like, dude, you guys are going to have like, cause I went back to refuel while you guys were on the ground. And I was like, what are you guys doing? I'm going to get a Coke. Like it's going to be a while. And they're like, we're fucking ready. And I was like, Marines, man. Marines. Okay, dude. It's like a 30-minute flight back to the beach. Like you got time. So yeah, that was, you gotta love the Marines and their dedication to simplicity, stupidity, and aggression.
And it's endearing too. Like I'm always just kind of impressed with it. It's like, man, because we could use some of that in the Army. The Army is kind of like, you have some cool people, but it's really just kind of sad when you sit around and look at the Army from the inside. You're like, oh, come on. I thought we were going to be better than this.
Yeah, and the Marines, at least, like, you know, the young Marines, like the guys who were probably sitting there waiting, they all know it's stupid, but they all know it's stupid, but they're also like gung ho about it.
They take pride in their stupidity.
Fuck yeah, this is stupid. We're gonna do it even stupider.
When I did nothing special, but I signed up for. I went to 19th Group for 3 years, and it's basically a dumping ground for Marines who didn't get a chance to go to war in the Marine Corps. So they come over and they're like, "Hey, I want to get the green hat and go to war with the Army." But anytime we were doing any kind of event or sitting anywhere or whatever, like somebody would just put a hat on the ground, and then all the Marines would sit there and just throw rocks into the hat. And they would do it for hours. Like, dude, this is the best fucking. This is it, man. This is the bee's knees. Like, this is how you guys spend your time, is you throw rocks into hats. Like, yeah, and we do it a lot. I was like, man, good for you. And they were just like, cool, ding. I was like, all right, you don't want to go find something else to do?
I call that the team guy stand around on the SEAL teams. You know, if you're sitting on the range board, inevitably someone picks up a rock and starts throwing it, and then we're just throwing rocks at. We didn't even come up with a hat to throw it at. We just threw rocks arbitrarily.
The farthest. Who can be the most accurate? Dude, how can I be better than you at anything?
Yeah, that's what it's always about. It's like accuracy, power. Can you hit the metal bar or whatever it is? And everybody just naturally goes to competition. And I think thinking about that deployment, I forgot all about this until right now. Is we flew you guys out to? Do you remember when we flew you guys out to zero your long guns? And we landed in that ravine, and all those fucking baboons or whatever, they were like with the fangs,
yes.
and like
they were terrifying.
This is fucking true story. Is we go out and we land in this like a dry riverbed, right? And Kevin had found this place on the imagery. He's like, "Hey, we can go here and we can set up a range to zero our guns in, and it'll be great." And I was like, "Cool, yeah, I can land there, no problem." And we go out there, and there's like these kind of scrub trees that look like kind of like Joshua trees, maybe not very big trees, but not like a Joshua tree, but like that size. And as I'm coming in to land, I just see them kind of shaking, and I was thinking in my head, I'm like, how is that tree moving? And I'm like upwind of the tree. There's no way that my rotor wash is blowing the tree, and I'm just perplexed on this tree shaking violently. I was like, what the fuck? And I land beside the tree. The tree's outside the rotor disc, like at 11 o'clock. And the tree is just shaking. And then I could hear the monkeys screaming from under the rotor disc, like shrieking. And then I looked up, and there was like cliffs on either side. And all in the cliffs are thousands of baboons, like angry, mad baboons. And I remember you guys jumped out, and I took off, and then about 2 minutes later, you're like, hey, maybe you guys don't go too far away because there's a lot of monkeys down here.
We're going to get mauled by baboons.
Could you imagine if that was the way you went out, like all this war fighting on several different continents, and you're just like, all these dudes got mauled by baboons. What do you write back?
Platoon of Navy SEALs dead by baboon.
I mean, it looked like, from where I was at, it looked like hundreds of them. I mean, I don't know what it was on the ground, but maybe I might be misremember it. But
there was at least dozens, and we were shooting for a bit, and I think we called the range early because they were getting more agitated, and they did not want us there. You can just sense things about animals. They were like, get the hell off our turf.
Yeah,
that's
so
wild.
they hadn't formulated their attack plan yet, or maybe they just hadn't executed yet, but they were not happy we were there. What's a funny story from that point, we ended up using that space like a whole bunch of times after you left. And then later when, one of the new troops from the other SEAL team was rotating in, they're like, hey, do you guys got a place you can go like shoot? And we're like, yeah, we found this random spot out in the middle of Africa where we've just been shooting. And so we set up this big range day with their troop and our platoon. And like we were doing Carl Gustav and laws and everything. And a week later, somehow there was some villager that had passed through this area a couple days after we had done this and like found a discarded rocket round and brought it to the U.S. Embassy, of course. And so I'm like, how? And I looked at the imagery, and there's no village that you can see at least within like 15 miles, but of course, someone stumbled across it. I mean, they probably heard explosions reverberating through the desert in the middle of the night and were like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, those shepherds out there, they put their goats in these. There's volcanic rock everywhere out there, and they like make these little corrals at night of volcanic rock, and then they put their goats in a corral, and then they make a corral and they put their fire in there because the hyenas are out there like running around. Like, dude, those things. Have you ever seen a hyena?
Not an RL.
That thing will eat like a wild hyena will fuck you up. Like they would be on the perimeter of where we're at, and like they laugh and they're like the little cackle. Like I can't do the voice, but
could you try your best?
No.
This close, almost got you. You thought about it,
dude. Those hyenas, man, they are big dogs. Like I was not prepared. How
are they like Great Dane size almost?
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
Like their heads are. I'm not kidding you. You know,
a dire wolf.
10 inches
mean.
wide.
They look mean. You know, they got that like angular kind of look to their faces. They don't look friendly.
Yeah, and those. And you just see these little circles all over the landscape out there where these dudes are just, I don't know where the grass is because I didn't see any, but it's like a little shrubby stuff. And they just, you know, and then you can go, 30 miles north of there and it's just like flat salt. And there's like ostriches running around and stuff, like just crazy Africa stuff,
Yeah. You said a while back that deployment was like the beginning of the end for your career, which is interesting because that was kind of for me too. And for context, we're doing a lot of very long range, very complex missions, and which on one hand is kind of cool. All the coordination and planning and execution is like cool. On the other hand, I'm like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, how much money are we spending to go after this? On one of those missions, they don't even know who they killed.
Yeah,
never figured it out.
Remember, they were like, hey, let's put the SWIC dudes and just have them drive up near the beach and just start mortaring shit and like see what happens, And
that
was.
Oh, I think when you were there was two, and they did the. Were you there when they did the HIMARS launch off the ship?
Yeah. Yep.
Just to do it.
Yeah.
Let's launch that thing. And and this is my favorite part. They turned out they missed because someone didn't do a meters to yards conversion somewhere along the way in their calculations.
Dude, the amount of shit that goes wrong over like those Monday details is like, it's insane we made it this far.
Yeah, it really is.
Well,
it really is.
And that place was crazy because like I remember coming off the ship on the first night we flew, and it's zero lume, and there's like a sea fog out there, and it looks like San Diego in June is what it looked like. And I remember looking in the distance, going, "Yeah, what is that?" And I'm staring at it, and I'm like, "What the?" I got my goggle, I'm flying. We're like 30 feet off the water, and I keep looking out I'm like, man, is that a cloud bank? And then I realized, no, those are 8,000 foot mountains, and it just, for whatever reason, it didn't register in my brain when I was looking at the map because the contour lines were so close together. I just didn't hit me. And then when you see it, you're like, holy shit. Like that's a legit, and it's such a gradual kind of slope that it just really messes with your brain. But for me, that mission was kind of the beginning of the end for a lot of reasons. One is like, what the fuck are we even doing here? When we transferred to the other ship, and then we were just driving around, and I remember waking up one morning and going into the little talk or whatever you call it. I remember looking on like the little board that shows our position, and I was like, wait a minute, like we were over here yesterday, and now we've sailed like a day's worth at full steam. We're like way far away from where we were. And, we got the brief on what we were going to do. And the whole thing was just kind of like, this is silly. And I'm sure there was like a reason for it.
Nope.
Yeah. But that was, remember how crazy that was? Like when we were we were doing the rehearsals to do the big mish or a mission, and we were all in the one planning room planning our stuff, and then this I won't go into his name because he's still in, right? He's probably a flag officer now, but I won't go into who he is. But his aide or whatever came in and kicked us all out of the room, and I was like, oh, okay, the boss needs the room. I guess he's going to brief the president or something. And we literally go like two steps into the next room, which is like plywood, stadium kind of seating, plywood, and we're going to do the big mish brief, right? And we go in there, and the other flight lead does his part, and then I get up and say my part, and then the other SEAL troop does their part, and then Kevin says his part, and everything's, and then they're like, they go for questions, and then the commander of the whole thing, who kicked us out of the room that was 6 feet away from us, comes on the screen, but on like a VTC, like a video teleconference. And I'm just like, I'm scratching my head. I'm like, what? Wait, he kicked us out of the room we were in, which is literally adjacent to the room we're in, to video. There's a signal going up into space, coming back down 6 feet away from where he's sitting to ask us questions about the brief, when he could have just and I asked one of the guys, the team chief of the other guys, I was like, hey, what's going on right now? They're like, this is just his process, man. This is how he does it. And I was like, I can't be the only one that thinks this is insane, right? He's 6 feet away from us, but he's videoing in. He's like Skyping us to ask us questions when he's 6 feet away. And that was like and that rock drill was just ridiculous.
I was just going to bring up the rock drills.
Yeah. I mean,
so the rock drills, for the listeners, rehearsal of contingency, and it's just a walkthrough, right? Like if you think of like an NFL team on Saturdays, like they get out their playbook and they physically walk through what the play is. This receiver is going to run a slant, and it's basically that for the military, right? But so we were working with some units from JSOC, right? And the JSOC rock drills are like a television production, no joke. Like I remember when I would get up to speak, it'd have my name and my call sign,
and a little symbol,
like I was a weatherman, right?
Yeah,
like everything. And I remember joking with one of my buddies who was there. It's like, man, we need like a laser light show we need like smoke. We need like model airplanes music spinning in circles on fans above us to really get and like, I wouldn't be surprised if they've done that by now, because it was every time we did one, the production value would go up and up. And, the rehearsals were okay, but, we spent there's so much pomp and circumstance in the U.S. military, so much. And this brings up a great topic. Have you ever read the book called On the Psychology of Military Incompetence?
No, but I'm going to go buy it now.
It's a great title. I'm hooked.
It is. It's so good. It's written by a psychologist. I think he wrote it in like the 1950s. And it's mostly case studies of the British military from the late 1800s, when the British Empire was going through pretty similar to what the U.S. has done in the last 50 years. They'd done a bunch of regional wars, including Afghanistan, where they left in startlingly similar fashion to how we left. And he shows all these examples of these generals who are just complete idiots, but they're all about pomp and circumstance, right? And you guys, in the big army, you see this, right? These big formations, we get everyone together and we inspect their uniforms and we do these stupid things that have absolutely no relation to being combat effective, right? And we spend a ton of time on that. And anyway, in the book, he starts with these case studies about all these failures of the British military from like 1850 to even up into World War I and II. They were very resistant to tanks, even though it was clear that was a way better idea than people on horses. And then he talks about, why does this happen? And he basically comes into, it's a psychology thing. So a lot of people, particularly officers who join the military, are joining out of some fear, right? Some ego issue, right? They were picked on when they were into music or poetry or art or whatever, and they need to go prove that they're tougher than the person who picked on them. And it's really dangerous in the military because the military is not a meritocracy, despite maybe what civilians might think. You don't get, correct me if I'm wrong in the 160th, but like the best pilots don't always get promoted. You guys' system is a little bit different and maybe the structure is a bit better, but in the military in general, you don't get promoted for being the best at your job. You get promoted for telling your boss what they want to hear more often than not, right? And so when you combine that with the personality types of, I just need my ego reinforced. So imagine, and I like to pick on the Naval Academy guys because I think this is a lot of them. Any of the service academies, I think, is a lot of these kids. And, they get into a position, they're an officer, and then people tell them they're right all the time because the military doesn't do a good job of telling their bosses, hey, this is a stupid idea or you're wrong. And so they get reinforced and then they go up to the next rank and they think everything they say is right because no one has the guts to tell them they're wrong. And then they get promoted to the next thing. And the next thing you know, that guy turns out to be an admiral or a general. And I tell my civilian friends all the time, I was like, if you think that the best and brightest is leading the U.S. military, you're woefully wrong. The best and the brightest have been in the U.S. military. They probably got out because they didn't want to deal with that shit anymore. Yeah, they're doing something else now. And our best hope, if we get in a major war with like China or Russia, is that their generals and admirals are probably promoted for the same reasons too, and so they're equally stupid.
Yeah, I think people tout China, and I kind of say, well, I'm sure they're great, but people also touted Russia's capabilities, and we've kind of seen in Ukraine, from an aviation perspective, when they first invaded, they were flying during the day, and I was like, why would you fly during the day? Like, if you're a near peer, you should have night vision goggles. Like, you guys should be doing these attacks at night. And I don't know if I just don't think they were funded and had the ability. And some of their helicopter techniques are just laughable. But anyways,
it's brutal watching those dudes get shot down all the time.
They're just like, getting their lunch eaten.
Fuck that.
Afghanistan in the 80s again for them, right? I mean, we sent Stingers to start. Now we got Patriots over there. I mean,
well, and the Stinger, we've been arming the Ukrainians with Stingers, and the Brits have it's an anti-tank missile. They're shooting down helicopters with it, and it's just because some of their tactics are just stupid. They're flying in, instead of, they'll fly in an open field really low to the ground. Well, the guy's hanging out in the tree line. He's got field of fire on you for 180 degrees, and if you would have flown right over the top of the treetops, a tree's going to get in the way before when he starts engaging. He's going to lose you, and it's going to get back on you really quick. And that whole thing, that's a whole other podcast about how dumb the Russian army is, or the Russian Air Force.
But are we that much smarter? That's the point I would make.
No, we were just fighting a different thing. I think we just got lucky.
We'd probably take less casualties, but we still wouldn't win. I mean, we never won. I kind of get irked when I see U.S. generals, whether it's active or retired, going on CNN or Fox or whatever, and picking on the Russians for getting stuck in Ukraine. I'm like, do you guys not remember that we were in Iraq for 20 years, in Afghanistan
for 23 years,
and 22 years. And those people did not have Patriots and Stingers.
Right. And the only plan we enacted was a fucked up withdrawal. Everything else was just spending time and money. We're like, hey, what are we doing? We're like, I don't know. What's the plan? We're like, don't know, but we're going to be here for a while. I'm like, all right, cool.
And what's crazy about the Afghanistan thing is every single person who's really been there knew that it was always going to end that way. Like the moment we leave, it's going to collapse. And yet, if you had read sit reps for the last 20 years coming out of the military, as they go up the chain, and I'm sure whatever's been told to Congress the last 20 years is, we're doing great, we're doing great, we're doing great. And it's like, how does no one see through this? Yeah. We killed a lot of people.
We're just here. We're not losing an exorbitant amount of people. We're doing pretty well if it's a numbers game, I suppose. But what's the end result of the numbers game? It's not as if we're playing basketball.
I mean, I think that's when you look at World War II, and then you take Vietnam, and every conflict since is, I don't know that the American people we've created this warrior class of all of us. And I think the American people think that we're just going to go solve all the problems. Where in World War II, everybody had a piece of the pie. You know, if you know, you were selling tin cans to buy war bonds or whatever. And I think they understood at least the violence that was going to be necessary to end a war. And now, you know, now that I'm older and I'm not doing this anymore, Tyler and I talk about this as, you know, before, when I came in the Army was in the mid 90s, and there was a very few Vietnam vets still around. Most of them had already gotten out. And I remember a lot of the Vietnam vets would always, the guys that actually saw combat would tell me like, hey, you know, it's not worth it in the end. You know, like I wish I would have known. And, you know, there's no point. There's no way that I can justify my friends dying for a war. And, you know, and I was always kind of like, man, you hippie, like, why would you, like, let's go kill some shit. And now that I'm where I am now, I'm like, well, yeah, that about sums it up. You guys are right. Like, because you think about how many folks that died and all the lives that were lost for what exactly? Like, what was accomplished other than Lockheed and Boeing? And I used to not really think there was a military industrial complex until I went to work for the military industrial complex. And you know, we talk about it often. Like, I could probably go work for a defense contractor and do some kind of defense work. And sometimes I want to go back to doing that. But then I'm like, oh, man, but that's not, I'm trying to be me. I'm trying to be seventh grade Thad. And like,
there you go.
You know,
like I joined to fight an enemy, right? I didn't join to make money or whatever. What I thought at the time with all the information that I had, and, you know, I'd probably do it all over again. Like, I made that decision to go fight an enemy. No interest in making a career out of the military. Probably should have. I'd probably be in a better spot now. But I just didn't have. Yeah, I don't know. It's just
you don't have the whole perspective. You know, 9/11 happened when I was a senior in high school.
Yep.
And you know, and then up from that point until I joined in 07 or 08, you know, my perspective didn't really change, right? So I just thought there are people who want to come kill Americans who are in these places. And then what you start to see over the course of your career, one of my first deployments was to Afghanistan when I was in JBAD, was telling about Tyler, and Jalalabad for the viewers. It's in eastern Afghanistan. And I was working with one of the national mission forces, and we were going after mid-level Taliban guys. And I was like, very quickly, I was like, why are we using the absolute most best trained and equipped people in the United States military to go after someone who's basically a farmer who happens to have an AK? And yeah, he's part of the Taliban, because if he's not, they'll probably kill him.
Or his family.
He's definitely not planning, you know, an attack on anywhere America.
Right.
Right. He's going to shoot at us because we're going to show up in his backyard in the middle of the night for sure. But so that question was like always in that very early, because that deployment was in my mind, and I just kept seeing the same thing on each deployment, like and count on a few hands the number of missions I was a part of where I was like, yeah, that was worth some risk. But all the other ones, like, this is not worth any of my guys getting killed or blown up or anything, right? Because I always took seriously thinking about notifying like a spouse, like, oh yeah, he must have been doing something great. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to tell you that it wasn't great, but like the truth is, we were doing nothing. We were going on a mission to chase some stats.
Right, and that's another thing you have to carry is lying, right, about that kind of stuff. When you're talking to somebody's parents or somebody's wife, you're kind of like, no, you have to put on a face for them.
Yeah, fortunately for me, I never had to deal with that because I don't think I could have. I think it would have been like, look, I can't lie to you. Like, if the mission was stupid, I would have told them. Maybe not in those words, but and it's just it's unfortunate that I think the American public doesn't really get that perspective, because the American public supports those efforts because, just like you were saying, Tyler, they're basing off the information they have. The information they have is a very limited piece of the pie, but I'm sure you guys agree, 90% of the stuff we've done in the last 20 years was not defending the homeland from some attack. Now you could make kind of a strategic argument that by having people there, we were forcing the enemy to be on their toes and not have the time and space to plan an attack. Maybe
like we picked the battlefield. Like, we're going to have this showdown somewhere. We better not do it at home.
Yeah. And there's probably a little bit of truth to that, but I think there's still a lot of truth to the other side of it, that we're putting people in harm's way just cause.
Well, I think if you look back, and this might be unpopular, and this is no way, a big ups for the German army circa late 1930s, early 1940s. But even, or Russia now today, most of those guys, yes, the SS, pure Nazis, pieces of shit, bad people. Like, that's the through and through bad people. But the majority of people who were dying in the German army were just very normal people, right? Their country said, hey, we're going to war. And they, in the 40s and the 30s, you don't have any fucking information, right?
No, and all they had was, France screwed us after World War I and left our country in billions of dollars of debt, which was true, which put us into a depression.
Right.
And now we got this guy in charge of us who says he's going to fix it. And he says that all these people are coming after us. So I want to defend my country and my family. So, the average German soldier is like, they weren't Nazis. They weren't, they weren't evil people. They were just called to serve by their country, and they did it.
And I feel like that's similar, watching that unfold with Russia today too. I think you're watching, people are like, oh yeah, they're killing us. I was like, hey man, like these boys they're not like, if you look at Al-Qaeda or somebody like that, who's like, they just engage in heinous acts for shock value, right? Sure, some of them are doing it again. You know what I mean? There's always bad actors. There's always pieces of shit and levels of pieces of shit. But I don't think a lot of those Russian dudes have a choice. I think it's either you go there and die or you stay home and die.
Yeah, and I'm sure they're operating on some limited information set and perspective about what they're doing too, and there's a whole other side of that whole issue with Russia and Ukraine, that the United States has played a big role in antagonizing that conflict for the last
well, I mean, we've been
10
pushing
years.
the border of that for years. I mean,
right.
And again, that's why, it lines the pockets of, and not to be conspiracy guy, but when you see,
it's true.
You see these big companies profiting, like who profits off a war, like a 20-year war. I mean, Brown and Root, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, like those guys. And I'm not saying we don't need, I'm not saying that my time in the military, I loved every minute of it and I wouldn't trade it for the world. I'm in a different season of life now, and the perspective has changed. And, if I had to send my son to combat, I don't know, he would want to go just because he's, I think, normal kid or a normal male. Like, he wants to get in there. Part of it is you want to get in there and prove yourself and mix it up. That, hey, you want to get as close to the edge as you can to see where you're really at. And I think he's that kind of person. He would do the same thing. But I would be remiss if I didn't tell him, like, I don't think this is a great idea. Unless it was a situation like, we live in France and the Nazis are coming, like, we've all got to do something. Like, that's a different story. You could argue that there's parallels to Hamas and Israel here. I mean, but what we were doing, I don't know, was in the best interest of the United States at the end of the day.
Not at all.
I think probably initially with Afghanistan, there was, like, hey, all right, you did this thing, we won't stand for it, right? I think that's important to note. But the fact that we went in there with essentially no plan, right? And then we let it ride for so long. Like, we lost the initiative by 2010, you know what I mean? And probably even way before that. It was just kind of like, okay, what are we doing? Like, we're circling the drain. We're just sitting here. We're smoking bad dudes. We're crashing helicopters. I'm not home for birthdays.
And in a lot of ways, we created more terrorists than we ever killed.
Oh yeah, right? It's 100% whack-a-mole. Like,
well, I think there's like an intermediary, right? We're the intermediary. So, hey, dudes show up, take down towers. Like, okay, we're gonna go the three of us are going to go smash bad guys while the big brains figure out like what to do about it. Cause we need to keep them at bay. We need to bring in a little bit of the hammer, but somebody back here, which is what we were all hoping, I think was going on. Like you think about how we get the fuck out of here, or like, what's the end state, or what achievable goal can they be friends? And obviously we hired him at the end anyway. So
yeah, I mean,
how do you defeat an ideology is an incredibly difficult proposition, right?
You can't kill an ideology.
And you know, we use the wrong metric, right? You know, EKIA is like the number one metric in the SEAL teams for sure. And you know, that in itself created a culture that caused a lot of problems, which has come out in a lot of books and investigations and stuff like that. And yeah, I agree. I think, you know, the beginning of Afghanistan, right? And I think it's like the first 6 months, honestly, right? Where you had the agency and a very small amount of people, and they had no rules. They weren't filing 50-page con ops every day to get approval to do things. They were just moving, but there was no strategy. I remember I read a few books about this when I was like joining the teams, because I wanted to understand Afghanistan and the places we might be going and the history, just because I'm that kind of person. I like reading history anyway. But there was, I think the agency or the Green Berets who were there early, you know, requested of DC to send like 1,000 Rangers to secure the border with Pakistan, because they knew the Al-Qaeda guys were going to head east over the border into Pakistan because they got safe haven there. And they denied it. The politicians denied it because they're, well, we don't want to send too many troops, you know, that might, whatever, look bad or cost money or whatever it might be. And that's how bin Laden ended up escaping. And you had a sizable number of them get away to Pakistan, where Pakistani intelligence helps them overtly, usually with the money we've sent them, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's important, you know, I think that us vets who understand these things get out and talk about them, so the American people can be a little bit better informed and question a little bit better when the government's telling them, oh, we have to do this thing. And, you know, the government just doesn't do strategy. They suck at it.
And that's the biggest thing, is like they knew going in that there had to be an exit strategy. And I just, I don't think the politicians, because everybody's worried about image. Nobody understands the violence of action that has to happen to win a war. You know,
Israel is doing it right now.
Yeah, but even
Israel
then,
is doing it,
they're probably muzzled really to what they really could do. You know,
but
we dropped an atomic weapon on an island. Like,
yeah,
but guess
and that
what?
actually brought everything to a halt.
Guess who's our BFFs now? Like, you like fucking Nintendo? Like, you're welcome.
And before we dropped that atomic bomb, we firebombed every single one of their major cities.
Yeah,
that's like the forgotten thing about World War II, right? Like, we killed more people with the firebombing campaign than the nukes.
Yeah.
What book was it? The Bomber Mafia.
The Bomber Mafia, yeah.
By Malcolm Gladwell. It goes over like the just complete and utter destruction of carpet bombing civilian populations.
Yeah, I mean, that was the way it was in Europe too.
Yeah.
Dresden, I mean, like they leveled, and I'm not advocating for that. I'm just saying that was the level of violence that's what war is, and they end the more violent it is. I think generally speaking, over history, the shorter the conflict is. When one side is ultra violent towards the other, right, wrong, or indifferent, it ends earlier because people don't have the will to fight back. And I'm not saying it's like good or bad. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Historically,
I mean, I've taken the stance that like we should avoid war at all costs. You know, people ask me about Ukraine and Russia, and I usually give them a history lesson first. I'm like, this is how they got there, right? And the United States played a big role in antagonizing this. But more importantly, like you were talking about, Tyler, is like, most of the Russian kids, right? 18 to 25-year-old kids who are fighting in this, like, if you met them on the street somehow someday, like, you'd be like, oh, that's a good dude.
Yep.
Right. And the Ukrainian kids who are fighting and in their cities are getting killed. It's like, how many hundreds of thousands of people have died in this conflict now?
I heard a number, 600,000 Russians wounded or killed. 600,000 Russians.
Jeez.
Yeah. And I forget where I found that, but it was I want to say it was like a reputable source. Maybe it was Mike Baker. You know who Mike Baker is?
I don't.
He's that CIA guy that went. Okay. He's always on Joe Rogan.
Yeah, he's got a podcast called The President's Daily Brief. And I think it was on there. He said, he's heard numbers upwards of 600,000 Russians.
I mean, even if it's half that,
that's disgusting.
Number. That's crazy. Disgusting. And so those are not things we should ever, I think, just as humans, like be advocating for, especially when there could be a political solution. And, I agree with you, Thad, that like, I guess what I would say, it sounds like we're almost all maybe kind of saying the same point, which is if you are going to go to war, you better damn well know the risks and what the cost can be. And if you're going to do it, it better be for a really good reason that you're going to risk the sons and daughters of usually not America's wealthy, right? The military is 80% from like poor, lower socioeconomic status. And so if you're going to risk those people's lives, it better be for a really good reason. It better be because the Nazis are trying to take over the world and they're exterminating a whole race of people, right? But it should not be, we made up some intel that Saddam Hussein has a nuke, even though we know he doesn't, and we just want to go smash him, right? Have you read Tribe by Sebastian Junger? Yeah. Great book.
He was actually on Tyler's podcast on Flow State.
Oh, rad.
Yeah.
I didn't get to talk to him. Awesome. My buddy John, he knows him through this thing called the Veterans Town Hall.
Cool.
So he got Sebastian on there right after he put out oh my God, what was his last book he just put out? My brain doesn't work, but yeah.
You need to get in a flow state.
What's that?
Yeah. You need to get in a flow state.
Oh my God, I need to. It's been a while since I've been anywhere to do anything.
Anyway, that book's great because it talks about, and Thad, you made a point about this earlier about, a whole society being engaged in a war. The only time we should go is if the whole society is required to be engaged. If it's some regional conflict, I can't really get behind it. Now, that doesn't mean we can't send people to deal with problems on a limited basis. But, mobilizing for war, I can't get behind it unless there's a really good reason. And if the whole society is going to be engaged in it, and Younger's point in that book is when the whole society is not truly engaged in it, they're disconnected from it. And so when vets come home, they can't relate their experience to anyone, right? It's great that, relative to Vietnam, the American public is much more supportive on the surface of troops and stuff like that nowadays. But I always encourage people ask someone what they've been through. Don't just say thanks for your service, and when that happens, I think PTSD, those things will go down because people have the space to actually share it, not just be told, oh, you're a Navy SEAL, your life must be amazing, even though, you've been deployed however many times and however many terrible places, right? And you're carrying all this stuff with you. So
I think it's a weird time too with all that because you have people are saying thank you for your service, and companies say we like to hire vets, but it's most of it doesn't feel genuine. Like if you really wanted to thank people for their service, you'd be a better neighbor. You know what I mean? Like that's, I don't need to thank you. I did it on purpose. You know what I mean? I knew full well what I was getting into. The war was already in full tilt when I showed up. I mean, I appreciate that, but live the sentiment as opposed to just saying. Paying lip service.
I think it just feels a little like it's just the in vogue thing to do, And
what makes that person feel good? It's, it's a virtue signaling almost.
Yeah. And you're supposed to take it away from them. Yeah. Like you don't let another Vietnam happen, which I'm, not for. By the way, Ukraine says they have killed 651,810 troops since the onset of the full-scale Ukraine on February, or the full-scale invasion of Ukraine on February 24th, 2022. This figure released on September 29th, so as of today, that was yesterday, includes 1,170 Russian casualties recorded in just one day. In addition to troop casualties, Russia says it's lost 8,869 tanks, 17,476 armored fighting vehicles, and 25,000 vehicles and fuel tanks. So they've lost 18,000 artillery pieces, 1,200 multiple rocket launch systems, 962 air defense system,
Oh my
369 airplanes, 328 helicopters.
That's like 2 whole militaries.
Yeah, 28 ships and 1 submarine. So
even if that's like half, if you half that, right?
Yeah.
Because there's fluff. Somebody's lying.
There's major fluff. You know,
yeah, look
like
what we did
when we go on and off and be like, there was 3 EKA. Like once that sit rep goes up like 1 chain of command, it's rounded to 5, and then the next one's like, let's make it 10.
Yeah.
It's like if you totaled up the number, that the DoD said it killed in Afghanistan and Iraq, you'd probably get a number higher than the population of those places.
Right. 3 times over.
We killed the entire Middle East
twice.
Have you seen that video of the Bradley vehicle going head to head with the T-72? Have you guys seen that?
No, I haven't.
Have you seen the movie Fury?
Yeah.
You guys seen that movie? You know, there's a Tiger tank and then there's a Sherman, and they're like driving in the field, and they're both trying to maneuver on each other, and they're really close range with that's what this Bradley and this T-72 are doing. And I gotta say that the Bradley fucked that tank up. It was just hammering it with that 25 millimeter.
Oh my God.
Now, eventually another tank came in and took the Bradley out, but it was only 2 Ukrainian dudes in that Bradley. And I think they got rescued. I think they got blowed up and they jumped out. But anyways, if you ever want a cool video of crazy, just Google, American Bradley fights Russian T-72, which that's a main battle tank against an armored personnel carrier. That's pretty ballsy. But the Bradley took the first tank out. It took it out.
That's insane. It's so insane.
He was hammering it right where the turret meets like in that vulnerable spot, and he just kept on it. But
that's so brutal. It's crazy to watch trench warfare and tank warfare play out over GoPros. It's just such a weird thing to watch. You're like, man, and these numbers are like World War I numbers. Like, hey, they're dug in, and we're just going to shell the fuck out of this area, and you're just going to live in that trench.
Well,
it's an attrition war.
The drone. This is the new way to fight, man. We're never going back to drones. It
makes me feel like so gross inside. Like when I watched that one drop all that thermite, and it was just hosing thermite down onto dudes, I was like, never in my fucking life. Like, that's nightmare fuel. That's it.
Well, the drone thing gets me going. It's just, in my opinion, the advent of drones is just going to lead to more attrition warfare.
Yeah.
Right. And an attrition war is like a war no one ever should be in. Right. Like everyone loses. World War I, everyone lost. Like literally no land really changed. Like just tens of millions of people died, and then it ended. I mean, and for whatever reason, like militaries are obsessed with this idea of mass. Like we have to have a ton of numbers to win. And I've never believed that's true. I have very different opinions on how a military should be operated. But I think with the advent of drones, it's going to make it even easier for policymakers, politicians to say, oh, well, we'll send 10,000 drones their way and screw them up with that. And then they're going to send 10,000 drones back. And the collateral damage from that is going to be actual human beings.
Right.
And it's going to be bad. I don't think it's good. Now, the one saving grace is, anytime you mass produce something, there's a common vulnerability, right? And so exploiting, as soon as you find that vulnerability, those all 10,000 of those drones are obsolete overnight. And so I think it's going to give the defense industry a lot of money and investment to spend on things. But
yeah, we have a friend that's in the drone business, and business is booming for him. He's kind of up there in the drone world, and he's like, the technology that they have is just ridiculous. He's like, I've never seen anything like that. He's like, we're living in T2. Like, this is next level stuff. Have you seen those AI boats they have? The Navy, those things?
Yeah.
It's just sick, man. It's so crazy.
It's so neat, but it's gross. You know what I mean? Like when they're talking about drone swarms, I don't know. It makes me sad.
we just need like an alien to fight. Like that's what we need.
Right. Like we need a was it not interplanetary? Intergalactic?
Intergalactic?
Yeah, whatever. However we got to go. I don't, discriminate
did you see
space
that
terms.
thing that NASA said they intercepted like an object coming into our solar system, and then the object changed course and is on a trajectory for Earth, but it won't be here for 10 years. Have you seen that? It was like in the news like 2 days ago. It was like a, buried down.
Tiny little headline.
I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That reporter was shot.
Yeah. That whole thing is, yeah. Or and P. Diddy and all his
I was
his
just
stuff,
about to say, like, can we talk about P. Diddy for a minute?
Did you hear about Ashton Kutcher? Like, have you heard all this stuff with that dude, Ashton Kutcher?
We need to do a
like a conspiracy podcast.
Well, conspiracies, but we can talk about actors and stuff. What is that? Paparazzi?
So that guy Ashton Kutcher, I guess, was BFFs with P. Diddy, and apparently, Ashton Kutcher was married to Demi Moore.
Yeah,
and I guess Ashton Kutcher made Demi Moore have three-ways and all this crazy stuff, and then apparently
he's big into like not human trafficking, right? Yeah, he's got a foundation for rescuing people.
He just stepped down from the head of the foundation about human trafficking. I guess the word on the street is that he was super involved with drugging people at these P. Diddy parties, and that it's all going to come out. And so he had to step down from the human trafficking foundation. And then that's why him and Mila Kunis, I guess, are getting a divorce, according to my wife and TikTok.
TMZ.com.
So, she's keeping me.
I mean, nowadays, like that is probably more reliable than what you're going to see on CNN or Fox or like whatever.
Oh my God,
It's like,
do you remember you'd see these videos of these rappers talking about P. Diddy parties like 2 years ago, and they were telling the truth, and everybody was like, looking, and now you're like, old boy was telling the truth. Like,
dude, 50 Cent is so funny. 50 Cent's been ragging on him hard. He's like, I told you. He's just fucking straight shitting on him.
Oh, man. But
what a wild time to be alive. We got war and P. Diddy.
It really is, honestly. I was just talking to my mother-in-law about this morning. I have an 8-month-old baby, and she's been with us helping out. And I was telling her that I moved a bunch of money around in my portfolio because I think there's a big turn coming in the markets. And she was like, I just have this feeling, it's like big things are changing. And I was like, so many people I talk to say that, and it's maybe a little spiritual, but it does feel like there's going to be some big shift, right? And maybe
like
it won't.
the other shoe is going to drop here.
There has to be a course correction, right? You can't keep running this way. It doesn't make any sense. Like when you have zero accountability, and I'm not just saying that as like buzzwords, but nobody's held accountable for anything.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And you just keep running this thing towards the cliff, and you either go off the cliff or you turn before you get to the end. We can Thelma and Louise the shit out of this. I'm sure we'll be fine.
Which is probably the most probable outcome.
Right. Like, who wants to hold my hand?
Yeah, that's I think everybody feels like that. Like it's almost like you feel like you want to go get some chickens and learn how to plant some crops, and then
dude, I was just talking about this with my wife. Like, we're gonna move somewhere where we can get some more land. We're gonna get some chickens. We're gonna start planting our own food.
See, that's fucked up because Thad made me sell all that to come down and hang out here.
Yeah, he had a farm.
I had goats and chickens and orchards and blueberry fields, and now I'm fucking.
Now you live in a neighborhood.
Yeah.
But you got a pool.
Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. We're good. I'll ride out this apocalypse in my pool. Then once the pump stops, we'll turn that into like a little chicken den.
Yeah. Then you can boil the water, and then
you can use the water to water your plants, when the water supply is turned off.
Yep. Yeah. That's perfect. It'll all work out.
Dude, that's all
I'm in a better spot.
The Hurricane Helene that went up to North Carolina. It's all the flooding up there, and then all people's water. And the crazy thing is people are going on LinkedIn and Facebook and saying like, we need to be rescued. We've only got 3 days of food left. Send helicopters. So I'm getting messages from people like, hey, can you go help these people? Can you take a helicopter up there? And I'm like, look, there has to be. We have to triage who, just because you're going to run out of food and water in 3 days, you're not the priority right now. We're going to go get the priority is the people that are on the top of their roof that they're about to get washed away. That's
right. And they have zero food, right?
They're zero food. They're going to but social media, because everybody's still connected, they're able to post these stories that make their situation sound worse. And
the most important.
Yeah. And then people get emotional about it. And then they're like on this crusade to like, I'm going to fix everything. I'm going to help, which is great. We all want to help, but it has to be funneled to a central command and control node to
you can't just be all willy nilly.
Cause more problems.
Yeah. But the average person doesn't know that. So they think they're doing this great thing. And really it's actually making it worse. And it's just a whole mess up there. But
they're just adding noise.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like you're right. There's something that feels like it makes me want to go out and buy gold. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yep.
I was watching this thing and I think Ray Dalio might be his name. He's an economist, right? And
Bridgewater guy, billionaire, really, really, really smart.
Yeah. And he's just going through the timeline of empires and how they rise and fall and the timeline of each empire. And
they all have the same patterns.
Yeah, it's so easy to look back and just draw lines, right? And be like, okay, this happened then, it's happening now. Sure, we're wearing a cooler shirt or whatever. I'm not even wearing pants, but it's happening. But and the way he explained, like, was it in the 80s, our economy, and I could be fucking this whole thing up, was 40 times stronger than that of China's, right?
Yep.
But now we are neck and neck, and what's that? 40 years. So we're on the downside. China is on the upside. We can talk, anybody can talk about how bad the Chinese economy is, but we know we're not doing well ourselves. We're neck and neck.
Yeah.
And so I was looking at that and I took, into account everything. I was like, okay, so us as a nation, as America, we're potentially on the downside. Not potentially, I'd say like everything points to being on the downside of the American imperialism. Right.
Yeah.
And, I took comfort in that.
Yeah.
I was like, cool, we'll either go out in a ball of flames or it'll segment and fragment and places will be all right. And, by and large, will be okay. And it'll be nice to kind of like take a step off the world stage, take a breath and be like, all right, cool, let's focus on some real shit now.
Yeah. This reminds me of something I was thinking about while I was working out today that I wanted to talk about on here. And I'm glad it just popped in my brain because I would have forgot otherwise. But I read Ray Dalio quite a bit. He's like studied all the ancient civilizations, economic cycles, and he talks about a lot that, where we are in the debt cycle right now is like we're right at the peak. Yeah. We're about to go through a big deleveraging event, right? Which is usually some sort of depression. And if the wrong series of events happens, can lead to civil war, can lead to societal collapse, all kinds of different things. But I kind of have the same reaction to that too. I'm like, if that happens, I think that's a good thing. Like,
right.
And this like moniker I came up with while I was working out today is imbalance leads to balance and balance leads to imbalance.
Right.
Right. Too much of any. Right. And so we've been extreme and that I think that saying applies to all natural systems. Right. Yeah. So ecosystems, any system of people and government, those are natural systems because they're pervaded by us humans. And this happens in nature all the time. An ecosystem can get very out of balance, right? A pest gets into some tree and it's killing off all the trees. Eventually it kills all the trees. Now all the trees die and the pests have nowhere to live. So they die and then the trees start growing back, right? So like imbalance can lead to balance. And I think that's just where we're at. And so I try to put a positive spin on it, with people, and people ask me what I think about the future. And I'm like, I think in my lifetime, for sure, I joke with my dad all the time. I say, you're probably not going to deal with the shit you guys left behind, but, but I am.
Yep. Thank you.
But I think it's a good thing because, if that does happen, let's say that, and there's kind of this societal collapse in the United States or maybe even something less dramatic, I think that has a way of teaching people self-sufficiency again and like reestablishing connections with like your true tribe, your family, whoever it may be. And like, living at a bit smaller level, more in balance, right? Yep. And then it'll be another few hundred years, and we'll fuck it up again. And
sure,
nature just nature just always has a way of reestablishing balance at some. It's just gonna happen, And so instead of being like we need to try to stave it off, which I feel like is most of our government policy,
right?
Like, we need to stave this thing off a little bit longer, and all those actions just mean when it does happen, it's going to be worse.
Well, it seems like
policy, but
it seems like at this point they know it's happening, right? You have to know. They can't be like the whole government can't be that fucking dumb, right? So somebody up there knows that, this train is running out of tracks. Somebody does, because that's why they're
for sure. Yeah.
They're cashing in, right? They're doing all these things. They're bringing in as much money as humanly possible. There's, and they're setting up their shit in other countries, right?
Yeah. Everyone's trying to get one last paycheck out of the system.
Right. And so they're like, all right, hey man, this thing is unsustainable. Let's get what we can. I'll set myself up in a country, because you look at these countries that are adopting, was it Chinese money as their currency, right?
The BRICS.
It's happening a lot. The BRICS. Yeah.
It's BRICS.
I can't breathe. Never mind. Fuck. Yeah, man.
Racist.
There's a book called Empty Planet, The Shock of Global Population Decline. Have you guys ever heard of that book?
No.
No, but I love the title and the subtitle.
Yeah. So it's really cool. It's by a guy named Daryl Bicker. I just pulled it up here, and John Ibbotson. And basically what
guys.
They're my bros.
Sounds like it. Real tight.
What's interesting about the book is they base it on that the world population is actually declining. And their point is all the things that we've achieved to this point have all been due to having the workforce to run these systems that we have. And with the baby boomers going out, it's mathematically impossible to replace the workforce to sustain what we've built. And the problem with that is technology isn't to a point where we can automate that with robots or AI. And the world has went to each country has their thing, right? Like Germany produces, ball bearings and like
lederhosen.
Lederhosen, good beer,
sausages, pretzels.
Yeah. Or like, Switzerland is like the European bank,
watches.
Swiss watches and knives, Swiss Army knives. But Europe has gone to a country based, each country is good at one thing, right? And Korea makes cars and heavy machinery and electronics,
tasty snacks.
But Korea isn't the best at agriculture. Ukraine used to be the breadbasket of Europe.
Right.
Every country in Central America, South America, Europe, and Asia all have, the ones that are leaders have some kind of highly specialized industry. The problem is the workforce is shrinking. There's mathematically not enough way to put enough people and train them quick enough to fill all these holes, which means the countries that are poor, that are struggling now, are just going to get worse. And then and this book is pretty cool because it talks about the only kind of two countries that are set up to really kind of weather the storm here is America. Because
we got everything.
What's that?
We got we're an island, and we are extremely resource rich.
Yeah, that's exactly what his point was. It's not that we have the resources, we have the natural security, and we have a manufacturing base, even though it's from the 50s and 60s and 70s.
Yeah, it's eroded. But
we could restart it with about 20 years worth of work and manufacture everything in house.
There's one thing we've proven as a country over time is that when shit goes sideways or really bad, depression, Dust Bowl, that people can really, World War II, building how many battleships like in a weekend, you know what I mean? Like,
we just need to
come together. When America's motivated and comes together, it's incredible.
We need
I used to post on social media every year on September 11th, the same thing that I came up with a long time ago. And I could look it up and send it to you guys later. But basically it was a message about like, we should strive every day to get back to how we all were on September 12th. You know what I mean? It was like everyone kind of defaults back to like, you know what? I'm going to go check on my neighbor. I'm going to help other people out around me. Right. And less about the ridiculous, identity politics battles we have in online and shit like that, and so in some ways, it'd be good if we have some event happen, right, to draw like unity back amongst people. But America's really set up though that I may agree, like just
Yeah.
The only thing that's going to kill America is like internal infighting.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I worry about. Right. If we do go into another depression, this country already has all the factors present for like a civil war to erupt.
Yeah.
The only thing missing is that like standard of living is good. And so people aren't going to go kill.
Yeah. Nobody has the will to fight because why?
Right. But that changes when you're desperate and don't have food. And so,
well, I think
that's one thing that worries me.
If we slide backwards and like, there's a deficiency in technology where people aren't plugged in all the time, right? And you don't have that rage machine just churning people's brains all day. Like, I think that's obviously not going to solve everything, but I think that's a huge portion of it. Like when your daily ritual is to wake up, turn on the TV and fucking hate Trump and hate Kamala. And like, that's like that's your whole day, every day.
Yeah. We know people that are like that. Like, I'm not saying that. I mean, I got my opinions, but I don't know that it consumes my day because it
doesn't consume my friendships. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Like, I might be like, well, you're dumb if that's how you feel, but I still like you because it's fine to have dumb people around too. Makes me feel good.
Better. Yeah.
So sometimes I wish maybe I am dumb, but sometimes I wish I was so that I didn't like think so deeply about like things going
you could
on.
Be blissfully ignorant.
Yeah.
I just want to feel that for a day. Like there's I was working with this dude at a gun shop in Colorado while I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do when I was an adult. And me and this other dude, he was a Marine, and this other kid we were talking to, we eventually conned him into joining the Army and becoming a Ranger, and he doesn't talk to us anymore.
He learned his lesson.
Yeah, fucking got you. And but he has no inner monologue. Zero. He doesn't have a voice in his head that just rattles off all day. And we were like, what do you mean? It's like, you don't call yourself a piece of shit nonstop. You don't say, you could probably do that better. Like that guy is stronger than you or faster. Your handwriting sucks or you don't know how to cook just all day long. He's like, no, man.
Got a small dick.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. That's what we're all thinking.
Well, that's not an internal voice. I've heard that externally too. So
it's so true. My wife's very smart, but she is one of those people who doesn't have a heavy internal monologue. So a lot of times we're sitting there. I'm like, what are you thinking about? And she's like, nothing. And I'm like,
no, but really?
Yeah. I don't believe it because like, that's impossible for me. And,
me too.
Finally I've accepted it. That is truly how she is a lot of the times.
Can she visualize? This is a crazy question, but let's say you need to move the furniture around in your house. And you're like, we could put the couch over there and put this over here. Like, can you visualize what it will look like in your head before you move it? Can you do that?
I think so, but it requires some serious concentration.
Yeah, it requires me moving that to the other side of the room.
Yeah, do you do that, Tyler? Or is it like in my head, I can move an object and be like, okay, that's gonna look fucking dumb. Because my wife, she cannot do it. She has to see it. And she has to physically see it. And I'm like, it's going to look fucking dumb there. And then she's like, no, just let me see. And I put it over there. And she's like, yeah, that looks stupid. I'm like, you couldn't see that in your head before you did it? And she was like, no. How do you do that? And I'm like, I don't know. I just imagine what it would look like there. And it's there. Do you guys do that?
No, man. You saw our walls when you came in, 47 different paint swatches on the wall.
Well, I think paint's a little different because I'm always like, let's paint the house this color.
Yeah, I have trouble with colors.
Yeah, colors. But I'm talking objects, like,
I wish I knew more about neuroscience, which is like one of my hobbies, because this would probably like tell us something about us.
Huberman could tell us.
This will come out in my TASE test.
But yeah. Have you done that TASE test? Did you guys do that in the SEAL teams?
No.
Oh yeah, it's a
maybe we did it. Maybe when we were new, I have no idea.
I bet you did it when you first got in there, but it's basically
like a psychological profile. Yeah.
And
I don't think they bother telling us because I think we're all sociopaths.
Well, they just take it and put it in the shred.
They're like,
no
we're
evidence.
not gonna go over that with you. We had a Kate Allgood is on the episode before this one, and she's actually in San Diego. And cool. she's a performance enhancing coach for pro athletes and stuff. And she
gives them performance enhancing drugs. Yeah.
PEDs. No PEDs.
Yeah.
No, she's like this,
make
a psychologist
mental
on
note
that level.
I need you to link me up with her. That sounds very interesting.
Yeah. She went over my TASE test that I kept from the 160th, and I scored a 99.9 percentile of negative self-talk. Like
I'm so good at it. I've perfected talking shit to
I'm
myself.
number one in the world at talking shit to myself.
I did it again. Like this morning, I was making a cup of coffee, and I have this old ass Keurig. I mean, I've had it since it's like the original Keurig machine. Like, it makes a loud noise, and
coffee tastes like shit.
Yeah, the coffee tastes terrible, and but I take pride in it sucking. And if you don't put the coffee grinds in, if you put them too high, they'll like splatter, and then your stream just goes all over the place, and coffee just goes. It's a horrible setup, and and the coffee went all over the place, and I was like, "You fucking idiot! You know better than to do that." Like, how many times you can? And then I thought about that taste test that we did the other day with her, and I'm like, and then it goes right back into this like negative feedback loop. Like, you fucking idiot! Now you're telling yourself you're an idiot, idiot.
You're so fucking dumb.
Yeah. Now you're in that shame cycle.
Your thoughts become your feelings about
your reality,
and
then that becomes your reality, right? And then bad shit starts actually happening to you too. Like, do you think when you were younger, you had that really bad negative self-talk? Like when you're,
I think it was talked into me by the people around me. It was the environment that taught me those things.
Yeah.
And not specifically like parents or anything, but just kind of like how we were viewed, or how I felt we were viewed as a family growing up, right? Mm-hmm. And so you become, we were terrible at school. We were always like, they pulled me out of school, I'm like fourth grade or whatever, and put me in a trailer. I grew up in Vermont, right? Graduating high school class was 8 people, and I wasn't good enough to be with those 8 people, right?
Dang.
And so I think it started like then, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But you're looking at it the wrong way, though, dude. Your bell curve was all whacked. If you had like 2,500 kids in your class, you'd probably be right up there with them. But 8, I mean, somebody's at the top, and somebody's got to be at the bottom.
That's true. It's easy to be an outlier in a small sample size.
Yeah,
so.
you got a really small sample there.
They would still hit kids at that school. Like teachers were still hitting kids in the 90s. It was pretty wild.
Oh, in the 90s?
In the 90s, yeah.
Oh,
kids were still getting hit.
When I was in first grade, we still had corporal punishment. Like I remember we had these little handprints on the walls.
Yeah.
And you had to put your handprints against the walls, and they would paddle you if you were bad.
They had a room they would put you in, a small room, and then they would go get like a big teacher, and the big teacher would go in there and manhandle small children.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's interesting because I think as a child I had a very natural like positivity to me.
Yeah.
My mom was great about always being like, if you believe you can do something, you can do it. And like I had that for a very long, and I think I still do have that at my core, but the negative self-talk thing became more of a problem for me in the last probably in the last 10, 15 years. Like, so I think somewhere in like my service time, like I started picking that up more. Like that's a pretty common trait amongst men in the military, and like hypercritical and that type of environment. And so like, I was just like, so for background, I got out, I worked with a construction technology startup, and then that startup went under just a couple months ago. And I've been like spending my time, like just kind of like trying to reset. Cause a lot of times I feel like, man, like I didn't used to like worry about shit that I worry about now, like, and like get my mind spinning on it, and it's like, how do I get back to like positive, happy-go-lucky Kevin more frequently? And, self-talk was like the first thing I thought of. And so like lately for the last couple of months, like when I wake up, I try to like meditate for a little bit, journal, and like, I just try to remind myself when I start the day of like, okay, what are the good habits to have so I don't do that shit that drags me down, right? And it's like positive self-talk. It's like reframing. It's like being happy with what you have around you, accepting things as they are, not fighting them every time. Like, oh, why is this way? It's like, it's the way it is, and you can take it one way or another. So, all that to say, the positive self-talk thing is something I'm like revitalizing in myself currently. It makes a big difference as soon as you can like switch that off,
That's something I like am working towards. It's tough. It's weird. It feels awkward at first. Like you're trying to like coach yourself along. Like, hey, good job,
Tyler.
You do it openly though. That's like I'm like closeted about it. You do it openly.
Not openly positive talk, openly negative talk.
Openly negative talk.
Well, it's crazy because I started making connections like to my childhood, essentially. Like, okay, this is where I think it started. Not that like that's always super important, but it helps to draw that line to be like, all right, cool. Like this is a learned skill. You know what I mean? And I've fucking been perfecting it for 38 years. So I'm really, really, really good at it. And how do you unperfect that? And it was funny. I had a thought today.
Time and practice.
Yeah. And that's what it's consistent practice and being honest with it. There was a point when me and my brother, we were swimming where our babysitter took us to this waterfall. I was 7 or 8 maybe. So he's probably 10 or 11, right?
This is a pretty significant story.
Right. And we have no shortage of those. He was jumping off by the waterfall. There's like all these cliffs and gullies or whatever. And he got behind the waterfall and tried to jump out through the waterfall. And the waterfall pushed him down to the bottom and pinned him to the ground, right? And I didn't know any of this was going on. And we talked about it a little bit later, but he said he's at the bottom, you know what I mean? Pinned to the ground, waterfall's pushing him down. And he was fighting like hell to get, he doesn't want to die down there. So, but in his mind, he's like, I'm going to fucking die if I don't get out of here. So he's trying to swim. He's trying to do anything he can to get off the bottom of the water. But eventually he gave up. So he stopped fighting because he's like, oh, that's it. I'm dead, and couldn't fight anymore. Stopped. And then it pushed him out.
Spit him.
Yeah. Right up to the top. And I was thinking about that today. And that's like the story of life in general, right? The more you rail against something blindly, just lash out at it, I don't know.
The more you give that thing power over you,
right?
So you're stuck.
And so once you just kind of release yourself to this thing, like, okay, I recognize it, I see it. It is.
And I think it has to do too with like there's an ego component of that, because sometimes you want to. And I'm a poster child for this. Is I love to rage against injustices at my job, and they're such petty, stupid shit that because. On some level, I feel like I'm responsible for that thing, and if it's not perfection, then it's a reflection on my character. And so, and I think a lot of guys from the soft world have that view of things. Like if it's a personal reflection on you and your teammates, or who your background, or where you came from, or maybe I'm just crazy, but that that if something is jacked up, even though it's clearly beyond the scope of your control, like I still feel responsible for it. And that kind of leads to that same thing where sometimes you just got to go, I fucking don't care anymore. But you really got to not care. And which is really difficult. Did you find that when you were in that construction startup, and what was that like when you got out? And because I remember watching it on LinkedIn, like you weren't the first to go. There was other guys before you that were getting laid off. And I would see you comment like, hey man, it sucks. Hope for the best.
Yeah.
And then I saw your post on there, and I was like, oh shit, how was that whole thing?
Yeah. It was interesting, that experience, when I was getting out, and like I said at the beginning, I didn't have my identity so wrapped up in being a SEAL that I was like terrified of getting out. In fact, I was excited about getting out and doing something different. And, I had done some kind of very low level startup investing while I was active duty. I just always found new technology interesting. And when I figured out that I could invest in it and, throw a few $1,000 here and there at things that usually go bankrupt, but if they hit a home run, I can make a ton of money on. So I kind of got into that, and I concluded when I was finishing my career that I like high risk, high reward situations. And so I was like, well, I'll go work at a startup. It's high risk, high reward, right? And in hindsight, well, it's exactly what I needed to do to learn the lesson that I don't actually want to be in that environment every day anymore. But that's what I did at the time. A couple of friends from the teams had started this startup. It's called Agorist. That's officially dissolved now. And in a way, it was kind of like a perfect halfway house because the founders had been in the teams. I knew them. There was one or two other, there's a few other military folks there, like construction battalion CBs from the Navy who had worked there as well. And so the culture was very, I wouldn't say military like, but a little bit, right? And so there's people you kind of relate to and talk to. And so it's just like, it was in San Diego in my backyard. So it was a good halfway house, right? To give me a little bit more space to like evaluate what I really wanted to do. And then as it was coming to an end, I mean, I definitely fought with quite a bit there. And I think this is that ego thing you were talking about, that of like, I know there's a better way. Like, I'm superior and I know better. And so we should do this thing. And I should try to fix all these things, and you end up spending so much energy chasing a bunch of different things that you don't get like one big thing done. It's like a focus issue almost. And so that was one of my big, like, kind of personal lessons of like, focus on, if you're in a job or in your life, focus on what you truly can control, which is very few things, and focus on the things that give you a lot of like personal excitement or like charge you up, like I was talking about at the beginning of the show, like what lights you up, focus on those things and just do those things. And a path will probably present itself that you can monetize it and make a living from it. And even if you can't, like, you can do something for yourself.
You might have had a good time on the way.
Yeah, exactly. Which is the most important. You know what I mean? It goes back to, I was listening to your first episode, and it's like, why are we all so obsessed with work? It's like, I've never been that person. I've always been more, I work to live, like I do a job because I realize I have to in this current iteration of society. I need currency to buy things and get things. And I kind of hope for a future where I don't have to do that. And I just live off the land like Tyler was before Thad conned him out of it.
Yeah, thanks, Thad.
Yeah, here for you.
Well, it's good because I'd be broke forever having to replace that driveway twice.
Well, I'm one of those person. I work to live. Like I am a workaholic. Like it's like
you live to work.
Yeah, it's like a genetic thing. Like my dad is exactly it's just, I think we're like somehow hardwired that way, or maybe there's something in the generational
education
stuff.
system.
I don't know, but yeah.
The education system, I think, is like very much set up to like produce factory workers, people who just want to work.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole bell, the bell rings and you do this and you switch. My son was, he's playing lacrosse, he's wrestling, he does JRTC. He's got all this stuff going on, and he was just worried about, something happened the other day. Oh, he I think I told you about this, Tyler. Some kid was making fun of him, and I had mentioned to him like, hey, at some point when a bully messes with you, you're gonna have to say something to him, and you should never put your hands on anybody first. But if sometimes people just need a punch in the face, and I did not say it like that for all the people that are freaking out. Like it was a dad moment. I didn't go that crazy, but bottom line, he ended up putting his hand like on the guy's shoulder, like really close to his neck, and kind of pushed down really hard, and was like, if you don't stop talking shit about me, I'm gonna beat the fuck out of you. And and he's like, well, I just said I'd beat him up. I was like, no, what'd you really say? Like, what did you really say? He's like, well, don't tell mom, but. And then and the kid came back today. This was last week. He came back today and apologized to him. Now they're buddies again, and they're playing lacrosse. But he was so worried that he was gonna get, because the kids all that friend group were like, we're gonna tell on you, and you're gonna get kicked out of school. And like, this is high school. And I'm like, man, the times have changed, because nobody would have ever went and told the teacher that, but he was so worried about getting, it will go on his record. I'm like, nobody gives a shit about high school. Like they don't even fucking care about college. Like, do you know how many people I hire that they're supposed to have college degrees and I never check? I don't fucking care. Like,
it's insane. I mean, especially nowadays with like the preponderance of knowledge you can get on the internet for free.
Right.
I mean, many colleges, I think most of the Ivy League schools, in fact, offer all their courses online for free. You don't get a graduation certificate. That's the only difference. So you literally just don't get a piece of paper, but you get all the knowledge. And so like, at what point are people just going to say, wait, I'm not going to even bother with this anymore? You know what I mean? Like, other than maybe for like the social, like I basically just went to college because I knew it was going to be 4 years of fun and drinking. And
didn't you go to school in upstate New York?
Yeah, I went to University of Buffalo. I was on a swimming scholarship.
Yeah, that's right.
And I almost didn't go because a couple of my buddies weren't going to college. And I remember telling my mom or dad, I was like, maybe I'll stay here and let's, I'll get
it's like, no, please
job. And they're like, my dad is very like smart, worldly guy. And he's just like, he just looked at me with this look. It's like, you are the stupidest fucking idiot. How are you, my son? And I was like, okay, I guess I'll go to college.
Yeah, that's right. Because I remember, you went to UB because my wife's from Buffalo, and I think we might have talked about Chippewa Street or something. I mean, like something. About that.
Some of the wing places up there.
Anchor Bar and
Anchor Bar. Elmo's is probably the best one.
Yeah.
It's like no one knows about that one, but Elmo's is good. Anyways, college is so overrated, like and very few jobs other than jobs working at a college, like in academia, and maybe, like very specific technical stuff. Doctors maybe comes to mind. Well, and even say like trades, right? Like electricians and things like that, where you need very hyper specific knowledge and experience in something. Like some sort of schooling makes sense, and where you need hands-on practice. But it's like 99% of jobs are not there. Maybe 90% of jobs are not that. Like, just go start doing something, and you'll learn it on the fly, and you'll be just fine.
Yeah. Right. I think a lot of those kids find out that nobody really wants a degree; they want experience, right? So they want you to have experience. But you can't get that by going to school.
Yeah.
And it's
I was talking to, like, I'm one of the hiring managers where Tyler and I work, and somebody was talking to me the other day, and I said something like, I don't give a shit about college. And they were like, well, that shows me that they can start something and finish it in 4 years. And I was like, what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? Like, just because you got a underwater basket weaving degree that, like, and there's folks that we work with that have 2 master's degree and still can't find their way out of a wet paper bag. Like,
because they have no life experience. Yeah. It's like, I think about this a lot now because I've got an 8-month-old now. I think about how like your experiences shape you, and like, those people who have 2 master's degrees are like the babies that like just sit still, and like people put stuff in front of them, and they don't go out and explore and crawl around and do anything. And so they don't really learn how to do anything. They learn some information. But like, if you just learn rote information, like that has no value. Anyone can go get information for free.
Right.
Especially nowadays. But what you can't get is like, real critical thinking skills and problem solving skills, and like just figuring something out. Right. Like that's the real value. And, unfortunately, I think like our education system doesn't teach people how to think. It just gives you information.
They teach you the test, and then you know.
I was working before I came down here to work with that. I was working at Norwich University up in Vermont. In the IT department.
A bunch of guys who went there that went into this teams actually.
Yeah. It's a neat school. But in my time in the IT department, I realized like that's like my first interaction with professors. I've gone to probably 7 or 8 different colleges myself, 0 degrees, which I'm actually kind of proud of. You know what I mean? Like that takes talent.
Be a good Marine and be proud of your stupidity. Get to 10, 15, man.
Taste the best.
Oh my God. Well, I just I showed up to those places and I learned what I wanted to learn. And when like gender studies popped up and like, you need this for a degree, it's like, oh, I'm leaving. I'm going to go learn something somewhere else then. I was just like, I'm not here to pay for classes I don't care about. And,
I read a lot of books that way. A lot of books I feel like make their point very quickly in the book.
Yeah. And then
if it's a nonfiction book, and then there's like 5 more chapters where they just give you more supporting evidence. And like, if I believe the idea, I need like 1 or 2 supporting evidence. Then I'm like, I got it. I don't need 20 more examples.
Yep.
And if I flip through the book and I'm like, this is just more examples, nothing new, no new insight. I'm like,
get to the point.
Good.
Yep.
Yeah.
But my interaction, back to the Norwich thing, my interaction with these people was, I sidetracked myself. I was kind of blown away by like, hey, I get a call, and again, I was low level IT. Like, is your mouse plugged in to your computer? Is your monitor's not working? I'm like, okay, is it plugged in? Like, yeah. I was like, all right, is the power on? Like, yeah, I did all that. I did all that. And then I literally just walk across campus to plug in a fucking monitor, and it's like, man, you're the one sending these kids off into the world with all the best knowledge, and you can't even figure out a fucking mouse. Like, how capable are these people? Like, when they've spent their whole life behind a book and a chalkboard.
Yeah, and now we got a generation of kids spend their whole life behind a computer screen or a cell phone and just down. I mean, there's no better metaphor for like what's happening to the youth and people in general than like, remember Batman Forever when Jim Carrey was the Riddler?
Yeah.
And they made that thing that goes on top of the TV that like helped you interact with the TV, so you saw it in like 3D, but it was also stealing your brain matter. And like Jim Carrey is on the other end drinking it. Like, that is literally what we're doing with cell phones and like
this is
the internet
idiocracy like being played out.
I hope by the time your kid gets old enough, it's kind of run its course. Because right now my daughter's 12 and we're like in it, and I'm like, how do I I barely made it this far. Like, how do I get a human through this? Like, I don't know how to deal with this shit.
Yeah, and it's everywhere, so like even if you can control it in your house,
right?
It's like they're at school and they're giving them tablets and stuff, and they're like getting them addicted. And it's the cigarette companies did the same thing, right, for the longest time,
right?
And they got in with kids young and they got them hooked, and then eventually at some point society woke up and was like, wait a minute, these fuckers like gave everybody lung cancer, and I think we're seeing the first of like society waking up and go, wait a minute, these fuckers are making everyone stupid and emotionally empty, right? Or depressed, or like the numbers on like mental health and like teenagers is like startlingly how bad it is.
Yeah.
So hopefully at some point here, we kind of get together as people and like, hey, let's put these companies in check.
God, I wish
you said something at the beginning of the show that I heard it and I was like, holy shit, really? But do the SEAL teams really have the highest suicide rate in the DoD?
I've heard that. So I can't say that with any sort of confirmation. I heard that from, I don't remember, a couple people a while ago. So yeah.
I don't doubt that that's not true.
I know in SOCOM is higher than the rest of the military.
Yeah.
For sure.
Were you
sad.
Weren't you on the East Coast teams at one point, or have you always been West Coast?
I was always West Coast.
Okay, and were you always in 7, or were you in?
No, I did a bunch at 7, and then I did most of my platoons at SEAL Team 7. I did a few deployments with other teams, kind of randomly here and there, just because I was young and I wanted to be deployed all the time. And then I had my last deployment with SEAL Team 3 in 2020.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which team did you like the best?
It's always, the teams change quite a bit from cycle, like every 2 years, everyone's up for orders. And so the enlisted guys stay a bit longer at a team. Like, if you're a new guy, enlisted guy to SEAL team, you show up, you're going to be at that team for probably 6 years, maybe 4 years, which is 2 full work up and deployment cycles, or 3 if you do 6 years. And then occasionally there's a guy who do like 8 or even 10 straight at a team, right? In the same platoon, the enlisted guys. The officer is different, right? You show up as a new guy as an officer, you're doing 2 years and you're going somewhere else. The only way you stay after your first tour, usually, well, there's 2 reasons you'd stay. Either you came from the fleet and so you were already higher ranking and so you've got to get into your platoon commander soon, or you screwed up in your first job and they want you to do it over. And so you stay, but otherwise you rotate somewhere else and you go to usually it's called a disassociated tour. So you'll go to usually not a SEAL team, right? So I went to the boat team. And with the boat team, I deployed with SEAL Team 5. Then I came back to Team 7. That's when I ran into you in Djibouti. And then And then I went to Group 1 for a while. I was running the Trident exercise for a bit. And then I went to Team 3.
Yeah, and for people that don't I never knew this about the SEAL teams until I started working with them, is the workup is really interesting, which is completely different from the 160th, where in the SEAL teams, when after deployment, the team, and just jump in if I've got this wrong, is they basically kind of disband, and to an extent, like people go to
an extent,
college and take classes and kind of take a break, and the leadership kind of changes out, and then they'll get back together and they'll go in their workup cycle, which is you start out in like small unit tactics, I think it is, and then you go to you work up to, I guess you're on the West Coast, you were always going out to Billy Macon and Island for
for land warfare.
That place is so shitty.
Especially if you're there in like August.
Yeah. I used to have to go down there and support. They're like, oh yeah, Team 1 or 3 or 7 or 5 is in what's it called out there? Nyland. And you got to go to Billy Macon and pick these dudes up and infill them for their what's that called? Land warfare phase?
Land warfare, yeah. So it's where we do all our like desert maneuvering. It's like the surface of the moon out there. It's all like crash.
It's so
land
shit,
and
man.
big rocks and but desert, big rocks and
the chocolate mountains,
washes everywhere.
Yeah, Salton Sea out that way.
It's a lot of meth users nearby.
Yeah.
It's that part of California. It's like where people go to do meth.
And then after land warfare, you go into ULT, right? Is that before?
No, land warfare is part of ULT.
Okay.
So I'll just take over. So I know it better than you.
And go.
Everything you said was wrong.
And VBSS is somewhere in there, then Trident at the end. Like
pretty much.
Where's the ice cream?
It's all 6 months cycles. So you do 6 months of individual school. So the enlisted guys are going to sniper school and breacher school and other things like that. And then you do unit level training, which is training as a platoon and a troop a little bit. And you do land warfare. You do VBSS or maritime interdiction operations. So shipboarding. We do close quarters combat, which is all going into kill houses and very, very small unit tactics inside of buildings. We do urban combat, which the Army calls MOUT. We call it SAUC because we got to call it something different. And we do some diving. They're doing more of that now. When I was around, everything we were doing was, in Iraq, Afghanistan, Yemen. And so the dive blocks usually were cut short so we could train more on land. What else is there?
Yeah, usually we would show up during ULT for land warfare, and VBSS is usually where we would show up. And what was weird is in Savannah, we were an East Coast battalion that always trained with the East Coast SEAL teams, but we always deployed with the West Coast SEAL teams. So we were never deployed with the guys we trained with. We were always deployed with the West Coast guys. And then the West Coast guys, 4th Battalion, were sometimes deployed with West Coast. So it just never worked out.
Yeah. I tried to fix that when I was running Trident. I tried to at least get it close. It's just really hard with the different, because you guys are on the different cycle. And so it never works out.
Well, there is no cycle in the 160th. There is no cycle.
You just deploy.
You just deploy. And then when you come back, you're training until you're deploying again. And it's assholes and elbows and there's no reset time. There is no go to school time. I mean, you might go to, for the officers, for the pilots, you might go to a professional military development course, like a required school to get promoted, but there's very few additional training because we're kind of terminal as warrant officer pilots. We're kind of always going to be there,
There were several times in that where you deploy, get back from a deployment, you're home for that week. Like you land Friday night and you bum a ride, go home, and then you're gone Monday morning. You're on the road for 3 weeks. You come back for a weekend. You come back Friday night again. You say hi to the wife. Monday, you're on the road for another trip, and then you come back for the next week, and then you're back in Afghanistan. And like that was kind of like the typical first few years.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa.
I've always told people, I'm not saying this just because you guys are both 160th guys. I promise. I always thought the 160th was the best special operations unit in the United States military, including the tier 1 units. Just
thank you.
In terms of professionalism, when I say professionalism, I sure as shit don't mean haircuts and shaves. I don't give a fuck about that. I mean, like, knowing how to fucking do your job and knowing enough about what everyone else does to like add value. I always, when I was one of my tours after my last deployment, I was teaching SEAL officers mission planning and how to lead in combat and stuff like that. And I always remember telling them, I was like, I think a 160th flight lead would make the best ground force commander on the planet, because the way you guys think about contingencies and like you plan out every single thing, it's like, okay, if this happens, we do X, Y, Z. And then it just becomes like automatic decision making, right? You're not actually making a decision on the fly.
Yeah.
You just have a plan for every, right. You just have a plan for every feasible outcome, right? Yeah. Short of like, a dragon or an alien showing up.
Yeah.
But
which has been known.
And there's only so many things that can go wrong, right? On a mission during the war on terror, right? There's the same 10 contingencies, right? And so you can have a stand. It's just like football, you can have an audible and like, we see this defense, we're doing this, and everyone knows it. And I was always disappointed in the SEAL teams at the lack of mission planning, diligence, I'll say, and thoroughness. And I was always really impressed by the 160th in that regard. So.
Yeah, I think that's probably what probably made me have a lot of negative self-talk, because like on the
you're
flight
always thinking of what can go wrong.
Yeah, like on the flight lead train up, like it is fucking brutal. You just get destroyed in front of your peer, like large groups of people, God, and you just get waylaid. You're just getting waylaid by everybody, how fucking dumb you are. And then, on the one hand, it makes you really effective of thinking, critical thinking. Like, what happens if this happens? What happens if that happens? Probably for your mental health long term, not so great. But
that fans the flames of whatever negative self-talk bug you already had.
Yeah.
You just multiplied it by 10 or 100. I remember I watched when I was at Trident, we started incorporating the flight lead evals in with the exercise, because it guaranteed the 160th would show up to play. And there was some cost savings. Anyways, watching one of the debriefs, and I was like, holy shit, I thought we debriefed hard.
Ruthless.
This guy, I think I remember his name. I won't say it. Man, he ended up passing, but
what year was
absolutely,
it? I probably know him.
2018. It's a 47 guy. And 4th battalion.
He's probably 4th battalion.
Yeah,
it's 4th battalion. Anyway, this first mission brief, man, did he get eaten alive. And like everyone in the room was uncomfortable because there's a whole bunch of like team guys there and AFSOC folks there, Air Force Special Operations Command, and like there's a good amount of people who had never seen anything like that before, and they were like stunned. And I was kind of laughing because I thought it was funny.
That's kind of how I assumed everybody conducted business, just because we would absolutely eat our own, because there's at no point do you accept failure, right? Because you call us and you say, hey, it's a real bad fucking night and we need to get out of here. And guess what? Like, we don't really say no to that, right? Like, if you're on the ground and things aren't bad or things aren't going good, then like, hey, we're coming.
Yeah. It's not, hey, we're not, you're getting shot at? Oh, we're going to wait.
Yeah. Could you guys sort that out? I thought you were down there to sort that out. Why are they still shooting?
I thought one thing I thought about what I kind of like about the SEAL teams that you don't see in any of the other soft, services is the SEAL teams kind of have a way of like the middle finger to everybody else, and it really resonates. And this is such a corny.
We're the most rebellious.
Yeah,
for sure.
Totally rebellious. I remember I was in. We were in the UAE. Did you ever go up? Did you ever do the UAE?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were up there in Sassanopolis.
That deployment I was with you in 2017.
You started there, right?
I had been there for a day, and then we were there the rest of the deployment.
Jumped. Oh, okay. Yeah.
But my previous deployment, when I was at the boat team, we were there.
Okay.
And there was always a debt of 60s there from the 160th. Yeah.
Yeah. I was always lined up with 1 and 3 on those deployments. And sometimes I would lap those guys. Like I would come in, do my time, leave, be gone for 3 months and come back, and they were the same team platoon was still there. And I was like, oh shit, you guys are still here? Fuck. Like, I've already been to Iraq twice, but we would do short deployments. But the one thing I remember,
2 months, right?
We were at Sassanopolis there in the UAE, and I remember I went to the gym and all these dudes had their shirts off, and at first I was like, we fucking just take their shirts off in the gym. And then I was like, wait a minute. Why the fuck?
It's
do
120 degrees out. Why do you have your shirt on?
Like, why not take your shirt off?
All these sweaty men.
Yeah. I'm like, hallelujah, it's raining.
UAE in summer is like the hottest place on the planet. It's like 130 degrees with 100% humidity. You can't wear clothes.
Yeah. Anyways, I always like that about the SEAL teams. Like
it's the no shirts.
Yeah, no shirts.
Yeah, you guys look great without shirts on. Yeah.
He loves those ripped dudes.
Yeah. Fucking a pallet of Diddy's oil special.
900 adult toys.
Oh my God.
But yeah, so what's so after the construction thing happened, what have you been doing? Like, what's going on? What's going on in the world of Kevin Gatley?
Yeah. Pretty interesting time for me, actually. I feel like it's definitely a big growth cycle, kind of like reevaluating a lot of things. Like, I don't know that I fully, when I got out of the military, really was diligent enough in like thinking through what it meant to me, and kind of like I don't know, can't think of it. I want to say grieving. That's probably not the right word, but kind of just like, really closing that chapter and like taking away both the good and the bad. I think when I left, a quick side story. So like, I met my current wife on a deployment. She's enlisted. I got in trouble for fraternization. Not big trouble, but I was planning to get out anyway. And that just kind of accelerated me getting out, because like, it just so happened that the 06 who was in charge of it was one of those people who's a real hard. If it was like 90 other people, it wouldn't have been a big deal at all. But this guy was like that self-righteous Naval Academy hard ass. And so because of that, I didn't really want to tell him anything. And I kind of, in a very smart ass way, told him to fuck himself. And so even if at that point, I like committed career suicide to an extent. I could have stayed in if I wanted to, which I didn't really anyway. And so I kind of just sent it with this guy, and which I don't regret. But what happened because of that is like, when I'd look back and think about the military, I'd only think about the negative. I'm like, oh, it's a big, stupid fucking system. All the generals and admirals are fucking idiots. And like, I just realized recently that like, I didn't take enough time to like appreciate like how awesome a lot of it was. In particular, what was awesome is just like the people, you know what I mean? Like that. I remember we only spent like 2 months together, and like, remember you and talk to you for the rest of my life. And like, guys like Frankie that, some of my best friends that I spent a ton of time with, like those relationships, like those mean everything to me. That's what lights me up as a person, is like those personal relationships and those friendships and caring about people and loving people. And so, that kind of like popped up in my mind in the last couple of months. And so I've been trying to like reestablish communication with a lot of people that like I'd kind of just not stayed in touch with, which a lot of us guys do.
It's just life.
Don't pick up the phone. Yeah. Life gets in the way, but like some of that stuff that we call life getting in the way is like shit that isn't as important as those relationships.
Yeah,
so it's like
for sure
reprioritizing those things. I think I've been doing, spending a lot of time with my son, which has been great because he was born in January and things at the startup were super busy. I did take a month off at home. But I was still like working 2 or 3 hours a day while I was at home. So my mind was like never fully there.
Yeah, you weren't
present. I went back to work. Yeah, I wasn't super present. There was moments I was. It was great. I caught him coming out, which was incredible and like really cool. And anyways, and then I went back to work, and it was it was an exciting time in the company. We're getting a lot of really cool milestones hit, and I thought we were generating enough momentum we'd be able to fundraise. We ended up wouldn't, so it kind of fell apart. But anyways, like I was coming home pretty smoked from those days, and like I'd come home and I'd spend time with them, but like my brain wasn't all the way there. And that was like eating away at me, kind of like guiltiness, and so it's been great to like feel a much better connection with my son Henry, in this time too. And made me realize that like that always needs to be a priority for me. I always said like I wouldn't have kids when I was in the military. I didn't. I'm glad I didn't. More power to you guys who have. I just like, for me, the idea of like spending 6 months away or something like that, it's just like, it's just too much. And so, so I've reevaluated that and it was interesting, you know, that the reason you reached out to me is I posted on LinkedIn about the company basically going under, losing my job, and just kind of saying thanks to all the people I'd worked with. And it was really cool. Like, I haven't really been job searching. I've been thinking about things that might interest me, but like, had so many people reach out to me right after that. Even some people I like hadn't talked to in 15 years and maybe wasn't even that close with at any point, right? But they reached out and like, hey, how you doing, man? Like, is there anything I can do to help? I got this thing that maybe you could look at, right? And I don't know, that was really, really awesome. You know, that like really made me feel it's like, wow, you know what? People are good. Human beings are good. Like they care, you know? And anyway, the one opportunity that I'm probably pursuing the hardest, and I'm actively applying, so I don't know how much I can talk about it. Anyway, there's a center in Dallas called the Center for Brain Health. It's based out of the UT Dallas school system. It's got this big research. It's kind of like the leading all-encompassing brain research institute in the United States. They have a bunch of programs and things they can do to improve cognitive performance. And in doing so, when you improve your cognitive performance, you also make your brain healthier, right? Just in the same way that if you eat healthy and work out and stuff like that, you're less likely to get injured. Or if you do get injured, you'll recover better, or you're less likely to have a heart attack because you didn't eat shitty food your whole life, whatever it may be, right? Same thing kind of applies with the brain. Not necessarily like food, exercise, yes, but just in terms of like daily habits for your brain, right. How to think in particular has a huge impact later in life, right? Like, and so what they've shown with what they've been doing, which they've been studying for almost 30 years now, is like way reduced rates of Alzheimer's and dementias. In military population, you're more resilient against brain injury, or when you do get one, you bounce back faster because you're exercising neuroplasticity regularly, right? And so when I was in the teams, I got exposed to this at first, and I loved it. I thought it was super cool. I tried and failed to get the SEAL teams to adopt it like force wide. And my proposal was basically, hey, we have physical trainers, we've got strength coaches, we've got nutritionists in the SEAL teams, and they help us maintain our bodies so that we can perform our best. We don't have anything for our brains.
Yeah. Yep.
And we also have these like health problems because of that down the line. And we have a whole bunch of things we can do at the end of the career to try to fix those problems. But wouldn't it be better to like build in good habits early and do something preventative? So this opportunity is coming about to work for the center to try and get their programs implemented across SOCOM. Now it's in its very, very, very early stages. Like we haven't even talked to SOCOM really. But so they asked me to, or I'm applying to see if I can kind of lead that effort and pick up something that I'd done 10 years ago, and I'm super passionate about it. You know, if I am lucky enough to get it, it won't pay a lot of money, but I'll feel good doing it. And so that's where I'm at now.
Yeah. We talk about purpose a lot on here. The lesson I learned when I get out of the Army was you have to have purpose, and it can't be like a job. I mean, it could be a job, but it can't. Your purpose needs to be something that you're passionate about. And every single dude that we've interviewed or had on the show, all generally go through the same like phase. Like there's this withdrawal phase where you get out of the military, or there's the excited phase when you get out and you're super excited, and then you kind of get in the real world and you miss your friends and you miss your teammates and you miss your tribe, and then you go through like this depression stage where you don't know what to do. You're trying to figure out which way is up,
which usually lasts for about 5 to 10 years.
It lasts. It's some time. I'm probably like starting.
It's probably proportional to how long you've been in, too, right?
Yeah,
like,
I think imagine it is.
This pro athletes go through the exact same thing, right? Like, because essentially we all did our dream job, right? Yeah. I wrote in my 3rd grade journal I wanted to be a Navy SEAL, and then I did it, and it's like, oh shit.
Now what?
What's the other dream?
Yeah.
I made it through that.
we talk about this all the time. Like, I have no idea what I want to be when I grow up. I still don't. Like, I just fly helicopters because it's what I do. Like, my hands move the controls, and there's no thought in it at all. And so I think that's awesome, and I really hope that you get it. And that's so cool that you have would you have to move to Dallas? Do you have to move there?
No, I'd be able to do it because the effort would be, trying to get it implemented SOCOM wide. So like I can do it remote from San Diego. I'll probably go to Dallas a lot. I want to. There's a lot of stuff at that center I want to learn about anyway. I already know the programming pretty well because I've gone through it a whole bunch of times. So I'll be able to. I think I'll be if I get it, I'd be like a consultant or an independent contractor.
Yeah.
So
I'm super interested in that neuroplasticity stuff, right? Because I've been dealing with some odd, I won't say health issues, but there's just some oddities, right?
Okay.
Of course, there's really no way to drill it down. So I found this doctor who he's like, hey, we're going to do a DNA test, so we can drill down into your DNA, see what you're predisposed to.
We found out you're really a girl.
Yeah. Oh my God, it is a vagina.
That's why it's so small. It's actually a clit.
Oh my God. It's really big though, if that's how we're looking at it. Oh man, I'm lucky. I'm blessed. Some would say blessed.
If your mom is listening to this, Deborah, we're really sorry. We're really sorry.
God damn it. So we did the DNA test and I did like 37 vials of blood to kind of go with that. We're waiting on the blood results, but the DNA test came back and it's almost like, and it's giving you, here's some options or here's some chances. Here's the barrel of the gun you're looking down actually. So it's almost like finding out how you're going to die in an odd way. It's weird. And of course it's probably far more dramatic when you're reading it, but I scored
for sure.
Where Thad scored high on talking shit to himself. Like, I'm guaranteed to get dementia. Right. And so it's like, okay, with, whatever.
Take it as a challenge.
Right. Exactly. So it's like, okay, I'm going to be so fucking good at dementia. I'm going to shit myself.
I'm going to get the most dementia.
I have more dementia than you have dementia. So it was just kind of weird reading that. But then you sustain whatever brain injuries while you're in the Army, this, that, and the other. Your brain feels kind of fuzzy. So now you're like, okay, well, hopefully this isn't the thing. So we're waiting on the blood test to come back. And, obviously there's going to be more rabbit holes to dive down later. But it's something I'm like, okay, if that's true, if that's real, 99.9% chance I'm getting it by, these DNA biomarkers, whatever the fuck, however accurate that is. Just like,
well, I've done a lot of similar stuff. I've done a lot of tests myself the last couple of years. I'm fortunate, there's a whole bunch of foundations for helping special operations and for SEALs in particular. And I use one that's pretty cutting edge on health stuff for it's called the SEAL Future Foundation. And
we fly a commercial Black Hawk for them.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
nice. My buddy's
services
the CEO.
up there in Tennessee. I fly for them on the side. Yeah.
I always see them posting videos. That's awesome. Anyways, so I've done a bunch of tests like that too, Tyler. Blood tests. I'm working with a gut health doctor right now because a lot of issues can come from that.
Yep.
So I did the stool samples, pooping in a bag and stuff like that.
I just do that anyway. I didn't know you could use that for something.
Well, that's your dementia.
Oh yeah, that's what it is.
Anyway, I have a couple points to make here. I'm trying to make sure I get them all. One thing I'd say is the tests don't define you.
Right.
Right. There's so much more, epigenetics, an emerging field of study is you can change your DNA in your own lifetime just from how you think on top of how you act, right? What you do day to day influences your DNA, right? Physically and how you think influences your DNA.
So stop talking shit to myself because I'm driving myself crazy.
Yeah. You are your problem.
No
right?
way.
And
Mom, you were right.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing, right? Don't get lost in the test.
No, not at all. It was just kind of like one of those things to be like, okay, here's something. It was here's something to fight against, essentially. Like, all right, cool. Now I've got a target.
Yeah. The other thing I was gonna say is, let's link up after. Actually, I'll just put it out to the public because it's super worth it. So the Center for Brain Health in Dallas has this thing called the Brain Health Project, and it's backed by philanthropy and university dollars. So it's all free, and you can Google the Brain Health Project, go to it, register for free, and you can go through. They have what's called the Brain Health Index. It's like a 2-hour test you take online, and it'll give you feedback. It doesn't give you a score. They might give you a number because people like had trouble dealing with it not having a number.
Right.
But the number doesn't mean anything. Like if you got a 76 and I got an 80, they're not relative to each other.
Sure.
Right. So all it's doing is giving you a baseline for yourself to work off of. And then one of their coaches will call you and do like a 15-minute session and debrief you on what they learned about how your brain thinks in a few key areas,
Sure.
strategic attention, reasoning, and innovation. And then you can go through all their trainings, their protocol for free online, and then you can retest. And if you implement the things they teach in your life and do a decent job of staying on those habits, what they've shown is like tremendous changes in the brain physically, and also that you will perform better on any number of intelligence tests, whether it's their own index or an IQ test or standardized testing. They've done this with like 30,000 Dallas school children.
Oh shit.
And the kids who've done it do like 20 or 30% higher on standardized testing than the kids who haven't.
Interesting.
And I'm on their website right now. It's centerforbrainhealth.org. And there's a thing that says our programs and brain training. Is that where you said it was at?
Yeah. Or if you just Google the Brain Health Project, that'll take you right
Brain
to
Health Project. Okay.
Yeah. But there's a few different Center for Brain Health, so make sure it's the one that's UT Dallas.
Yeah, this is UT Dallas. I'm on.
Yeah.
Brain
you can get
Health
to the Brain
Project?
Health. Yeah, you can get to the Brain Health Project from their main page too. I forgot what it's under. But yeah, if you Google Brain Health Project, you can get there. And then another thing that's cool about that, if you want to go get an fMRI done on your brain, you can sign up, and they'll do that for you for free. Now you'll have to fly. You'll have to pay your travel to like Dallas to go get scanned.
It's no issue.
But what it'd be is in the first year, I think you do one every 6 months. So you do 2 in a year, and then it's once a year for 10 years after that.
Huh.
Right. And if you're doing the trainings and implementing it in your life, the protocols they kind of teach throughout, they'll also be able to show like how your baseline changed on their index and how your brain is changing over time. It's super powerful. So I highly recommend anyone listening to this to check it out. Like one of my goals, they haven't, I'm like just in the process of starting to apply for the job. I have no idea if I get it, but like I would love to get this like in every school in America, because it's like that. This is how we fight like that brain drain that I think is happening because of information technology. This focuses on critical thinking and zooming out and drawing themes and innovating and the things that are distinctly human.
Are there things you have to do to qualify, or is it just open? Like you go,
it's just open.
Yeah, I'm on the website right now, so you just go in here and how to enroll.
Just register.
Then you click on here, and then there's a MRI sub study webpage.
Yep.
And we'll link to all this in the show notes. So if people, you don't have to write this down. I'll just put it in the show notes, and you can just read down and click on all these links. They'll be in there. It's pretty cool though.
It's incredible, guys. I can't recommend it enough. And I'll give my personal story with it. I was actually doing my dissociated tour at the boat team, and I'd come back from my 4th deployment, and that was in like a 4-year period. And I think I was 30 at the time, maybe 29, somewhere around there, right?
Yeah.
And I just noticed when I got back from deployment that like I'd start a sentence and I couldn't think of a word, and that had never happened to me before. I've always been like pretty sharp and like, and it really frustrated me, just like forgetting one little word. It's like, what am I trying to say? And I was like, what the fuck is, like, why is that happening? Right. And so I didn't have any major problem going on, just a little bit of slippage, probably just sleep induced. But there happened to be this email come out saying, hey, these brain performance people are coming to NSW as like a pilot thing. And I went to it, and a couple of former SEALs, Morgan Luttrell, who's now a congressman, and Pete Scabella is now a musician, kind of got up and spoke first about their experience with it. They both have been guys who've been in a whole bunch of helicopter crashes. They've been blown up a bunch, and they told their personal stories, which I won't share here, but their personal stories about how it was affecting them in very dramatic ways on a day-to-day basis, like their cognitive capacity. And they'd gone and done all these tests, and people said, yeah, you have an injury, but There's nothing you can do if you have a brain injury. Science has evolved since then, so people don't say that anymore, but they end up stumbling on the Center for Brain Health, and they went through their protocols, which is nothing medical. It's just exercises on how to make your brain think differently. And they both saw like incredible turnarounds in their lives. And when I went through the training, I saw a huge difference, like in clarity, ability to focus, ability to really critically think, and also like a health aspect of just feeling better and not feeling like brain's underwater all the time because it's just taking in information. So, I mean, yeah, like I said, I can't recommend it enough. I hope like every American does it or something like it because it's that worthwhile. You know, if you care about your body and you eat well and you exercise, like care about your brain too, because that's the thing that drives all of it.
That's wild.
we and that's kind of like the thing here is we talk to a lot of folks, and you know, everybody's going to tell you, and I'm a believer in this, although I habitually backslide, is, you know, number one, get enough sleep. Like that's critical. Number two, drink water. This is where I backslide.
Number three, take a knee. Number four, ibuprofen.
Yeah. Change your socks.
Change your socks.
So, but
Suck
I think if you stay in the gym and you drink water and you get a good night's sleep, and then the fourth and the fifth thing is you have to, the brain health thing I'm super interested in. I never really thought about it until tonight, until you brought this up. So now I'm going to go check this out.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. And we had a guy named Brandon Davis. He's a couple episodes. It hasn't come out yet, but it'll be before this one. He has a thing called the Davis Focus Project, where he has all these different modalities of like, what was he saying? They had like the vibration what was it called? Vibration therapy.
We're talking about how my brain doesn't function. You're gonna ask me questions.
Yeah,
I think I know what you're talking about. There's a couple of different frequencies which are healing for the brain.
Yeah.
Interestingly, they found that like the frequency of bumblebees is like super soothing and helps with PTSD.
Yeah.
So there's a whole bunch of like frequencies.
PTSD.
Yeah.
Oh, bumble! If you're allergic to bees,
yeah.
But you lay on this table and it like vibrates, and you know, he's got the cold plunge and the what was the other one? The 0G, like the float tank.
Float pods.
Yeah.
And
we have those in the SEAL teams. We have a couple at our main gym.
Oh, really? Oh, shit.
Yeah, guys can go use for sensory deprivation.
Yeah, sensory deprivation. That's what it is.
Aren't barometric really chambers supposed to be pretty good too?
Yeah, hyperbaric chamber's good. I use my PT's office, civilian PT's office has one. So you breathe pure oxygen for an hour, and you don't go to a super deep depth. It's like the equivalent of going like 10 feet down, but it's still good for your tissues, and
when I
breathe in pure oxygen for an hour, so it's good for you too.
I used to be an Army diver. I went to I was a second class hard hat diver, and we had a guy. We had our own. Each dive team had their own chamber, and it was a modular chamber. We could move it around and deploy with it, and we had a guy got a really, really bad leg injury, like really terrible.
Yep.
And dude, we used to give chamber runs to him twice a week. We would drive him down, and we'd drive him down to like 60 feet pure O2. And you know, the partial pressure of oxygen doubles, so like you're breathing like 200%. I'm like, it's not really, but you know what I'm saying?
It's oxygen saturation in the tissue that goes up, right? So
and it heals his leg. Years later, he ended up getting that leg amputated, but it's a whole thing.
But it worked wonders.
It worked. Well, it
poor example. That's a really bad example.
Well, it healed the injury, like the the bad cuts and everything. It healed, but there was like bone damage done. And I don't remember the full story.
Probably. But they probably missed something in the bone.
Yeah, he ended up getting, I think, either that leg or both legs. But anyways, it's really interesting, all the things you can do, and it's cool to see that you're into that and kind of helping out, because and the last thing I would say is the brain health is really cool. I'm going to really dive into that. And then the last thing is there is a component to your mental and emotional health, and a lot of people don't like to talk about it. And like, I was one of those guys until you just kind of get to a point where you're like, man,
it starts coming out even if you don't want it to.
Yeah, it'll start coming out with like, you lose your shit on your kids, or you lose,
start crying for no reason.
Yeah, like
ostensibly no reason.
It's supposed to happen, right?
Yeah.
I had a panic attack because of a cockroach in my apartment one time, and I was like, "Oh, I think this is the straw that broke the camel's back."
Well, that's new. Where'd that come from?
Yeah.
Oddly enough, well, maybe not oddly enough, but just doing this for me for the last few months, just sitting down and just talking with all sorts of people I never would have spoke to anyway, right? Or even just having a time on the calendar where I'm going to sit down and, granted, right now it's through a screen, but have a conversation with somebody for
a real conversation.
Yeah, for 2.5 hours, right? Never in your life, especially not with the way this country is designed, like you don't get to do that often, right? And so I've noticed a change in my perspective and outlook probably has chilled quite a bit just through doing this. You know what I mean?
That's I'm a big believer in intentional connection, I call it, right? Like I think like when we were deployed, it would have been better if you were handwriting letters back to your spouse, because like you'll really think about that, right? Whereas when you text, you just say, "How was your day?"
Like, oh, it's pretty like normal.
And after like a month of that, you're like,
BRB, we're getting mortared.
But if you wrote a letter, like you'd really think about some shit, you know? And I did that once or twice in my career, and I always really liked it. I didn't stick with it, but that intentional connection is really huge. Like just spending time connecting with people, talking to them, hearing their experiences, their perspectives, like that's really, really cool. And then the other thing I'd say is like, there's so many physiological things you can do to improve your health, and those are really well understood. Huberman's out there talking about, he's a neuroscientist, but most of the stuff he talks about is physiological things you can do, which by doing them will set your brain up for success. What the Brain Health Center done is like, okay, if we've got your brain set up for success, how do we take it to the next level?
Yeah.
And so it's really, really cool. But well,
I think there's a lot of talk right now, and there has been for a few years, and obviously it's hot words and buzzworthy on Instagram or social media or whatever. It's always like a bearded dude telling you to just get out there and fucking crush the day, this, that, and the other. But everyone's telling you like,
it's always some former fucking SEAL saying that shit.
Yeah, right. Sun your butthole, eat some liver, do hard things, but it's never the one piece of advice I've thought about it today that I've never heard anybody say was like, hey, go meet your friends for a beer.
Yeah.
Like or whatever, go meet your friends for coffee. Like go do a thing with your friends. Like that has never been a piece of advice. And that's probably been the most useful thing since I got out.
Yeah. I like to think about like, I firmly believe that like humans were way happier 10,000 years ago, before organized agriculture, I'd probably say.
Right.
Because you lived in a tribe with like 150 people.
Yep.
And like there was a balance of things, maybe the men went hunting and the women were, kind of doing their version of farming, gardening and picking plants, and the old women and men were probably raising the kids and I often think about when I'm like, how do I want to make my life like feel more purposeful and like, and not necessarily just purposeful, but like happy and like leisurely. I'm like, man, like they had it way better. It's like you might go hunt your food in the morning, and then the rest of the day you're just kind of like, I'm going to walk around the woods, or I'm going to go connect with the guy 2 teepees down. And you know what I mean? Like, and so we get caught up in the rat race, and we forget to do all those things. And like, those are the things that are most important in life, just connecting with other people. And
it takes a while to learn that too. And you usually need some catastrophic shit on the in-between to figure it out.
Yeah. And it's crazy, right? Because we got all these scientists out here now, like Huberman, and I love what he's doing. It's great. But at the same time, I'm like, all the stuff you're saying is like stuff that we instinctively did.
Yeah. Right. We knew
thousands of years ago. We didn't need it to be researched and peer reviewed and published to know that like I should go see the sun in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like how far have we de-evolved that we're at that point?
Like, I can't just drink Monster all day.
Yeah, they call that what's it called, Dunbar's number, or they like the optimum like tribe size is 150. Yeah. And so that's, if you could probably sketch that out right now. Like 150 people. I don't want to say like well enough that if you called them, they would pick up the phone or come help you or whatever. So
I call it my Costa Rica number. It's like, who's going to move to Central America with me, while the world's going through whatever apocalypse, and we'll start our own little tribe and grow our own food and have a great time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd head to Scotland.
It's too cold there. That's my thing.
Too much rain, too cold for me. I want a little more sun.
Suicide weather. It's perfect.
Great place to get dementia.
Yeah, man. I'm going to grow old and shit myself petting a hairy coo.
I mean, that's a good thing about dementia is you're like somewhere else, you know.
I could be anywhere.
Like, it's probably awesome.
Yeah.
You just don't know.
Shit.
It looks like shitty, but it's probably great for them. You know?
I hope my dementia is the good kind. I hope it's fun.
You hope you're like you're like 20 to
like you just 21. Say funny shit.
Yeah, it's just like grandpa shit himself again and he's swearing at a cat. Be like, perfect.
You can just tell people you have dementia and like say outrageous shit. You know. Like,
did you ever see? There was a show in the '90s called "Just Shoot Me." Have you guys ever heard of that show?
I remember it. I never watched it.
And
that sounds familiar. I don't think I watched it.
There's a guy. He's a comedian. His name is Dave. Not Dave Attell, not him. No. Dave something. He was the bad guy in all the Chipmunk movies. I had kids that were when that movie came out. He's the bad guy, but he's in a ton of comedies. But he played a guy that was like in his mid 20s, and he was acting like he had like developmental issues, and all these people would push him around in the wheelchair and cater to his every need and like hand feed him, and then when they would leave, there was like one of the ladies on the show was a attractive lady, and as soon as they all left, he's like, "Okay, hey, seriously, I'm there's nothing wrong with me. Like, you want to go on a date?" And she's like, "Oh my God, are you serious?" He's like, "Yeah, it's the best. I don't do anything. People take care of my every need." And then his mom comes back in. He's like, chicken pot pie, and like, and anyways, it's so goofy, but
David Spade.
Yeah. Well, David Spade's in that show. It's not him though. Anyways, it doesn't matter. It's a good episode with kind of what we're talking about. But so when do you think you'll hear back from the Dallas thing? Do you know when do you think that's gonna happen?
Probably in the next few weeks, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think you should write a book. Have you thought about writing a book?
I honestly have, and I haven't because I'm like, God, every SEAL writes a book, every SEAL gets a podcast. So I was like, I was joking with Frankie, my buddy Frankie, that is like, let's start a podcast called Not Another SEAL Podcast.
Dude, yeah, dude.
Because it's a double whammy. Like people are gonna search SEAL podcasts, and now I show up.
It could be like about anything that's counter to that, like.
Well, and that's something just in the last week I kind of accepted is like, man, I really care about helping people. That's what makes me feel like I have purpose. And helping people can mean so many different things, giving them information, being there to talk to them, whatever. And like, I've kind of realized that like maybe, and I've always like backed away from, putting myself in any kind of limelight or like public personality. And like, I'm like, well, maybe I can do it in a way where I'm not the guy that like I'm making fun of, you know what I mean? No offense to David Goggins, but I make fun of him because I'm like, Jesus, man, like get a life.
Or Sean Ryan, like,
yeah. And it's like, but if I did, write a book or do a podcast, something like that, like if I can use it and like, it's going to help people, then like, isn't it totally worth it? So I think I've gotten over that in my mind. And so I have a couple ideas for books. One in particular is like almost a sequel to, On the Psychology of Military Incompetence, like a modern version that I would write, and I'd use case studies from the U.S. military for the last 20 or 30 years and talk about my own experiences, which were many with military incompetence, and bring attention to that issue and see if there's a way we can kind of change the incentive system inside the military so that we actually promote the right people and that they actually stay in and become our leaders. And then so I've definitely thought about writing a book because I have a well thought out idea for it.
Dude,
so stay tuned.
If you're interested, we can hook you up with, we've had 2 friends on this podcast, or actually I met them through the podcast. Tyler knew one of the guys. Actually, Tyler, you found both of them. But they've both written books and could help you. It point
awesome.
you in the right direction of, getting
publishers and everything, like
publishing and how it all works and like the science behind it. They're helping. One of the guys is helping Nick O'Kelly, who's episode 6. He was a former Green Beret and went to the 160th, and he He
Nice.
Ended up he was going to try to kill himself. And so now he's writing a book called, I think the name is going to be, well, I shouldn't say, maybe I'm not supposed to tell the name of the book. But
yeah, we'll wait.
Yeah.
It's coming out. But one of the guys that wrote a book about mental health for cops, Doug's book comes out.
I don't know if that's public.
Oh, we're not supposed to say that either.
I don't know either.
Well, he's got a book coming out, and when it comes out, we'll post it.
He was on episode 10 too.
He's episode 10. If anybody wants to go back and listen to that, but we can hook you up with them, and they can kind of steer you in the right direction. I'm sure Doug and Adam would be more than willing.
Yeah.
There's you might just be interested if you look up Dead Reckoning Collective.
Okay.
It's a veteran. And
publishing?
It's a veteran publishing company, and I kind of am like anti. It sounds corny, and I'm not taking this away from anybody, but anytime somebody's like, Tyler and I were talking about this, like it's a veteran-owned coffee thing, and you try to, and that's what you make your shtick about. Like that's a no-go. Like that just is not us. And like this podcast, we talk a lot of military stuff because it's just frankly what our lives have been. But
it's a big piece of who you are.
But that's not the intent.
Not a big piece of who you are, a big piece of your experience.
Exactly. Right. It's a big piece of our experience, and it's a way that we can speak in the language that our people understand, and we can tell, a story, or we can tell what we're going through. And we probably get I don't know how many, but weekly I get a text or 2 or 3 from somebody that listened to an episode that's like, dude, I felt like shit. I had no idea that other people were going through this, and I listened to it. Yeah. And I guarantee you what you've said, somebody will text us and go, hey man, fucking Kevin said this and I felt the same way, or I never saw it that way, or what, so
that all makes it worth it.
Yeah. It makes me want to do another one.
It's shared experience, right? It's, you're not the only one going through it. Other people are, and we're there with you. And like, if anyone calls me, who knows me, listens to this, or even if you don't know me, my full name's here. You can look me up. Like, and you need help, I would help you. Like, no questions asked. So, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Love that.
So, and I'm not busting Sean Ryan's balls. Like, he blew up, and that's awesome.
Well, and his story is cool too. Like he was in a similar situation. He was suicidal and was at rock bottom. And I can't remember exactly. I might be getting this wrong, but he was at rock bottom and listened to something, and it helped him, and that's kind of what spurred him doing that as well.
Yeah, and he's skyrocketed. I mean, he just went on Joe Rogan, which. Yeah. If you get on Joe Rogan, you've made it. If you're a podcaster and you get on Joe Rogan, that's like Valhalla of podcasting. You made it to the show, man. You're in the NFL podcast.
And this is where, having the Navy SEAL tag on you helps with those things a little bit, and probably any special operations, but SEALs, we but for better and worse, we've got that big brand name. Right. And so
can we use the trident for your picture when we post it to Instagram? Do you mind if we just use that? Could we borrow that?
You can say Navy SEAL guest. Yes. Bother me.
Fucking big bold letters.
I'm going to put Charlie Sheen's picture right.
If you're going to, I request Michael Biehn, because Michael Biehn played a Navy SEAL in 3 different movies.
Oh, that's right. True. Yeah. He was the blonde hair guy, right?
Abyss. Yeah.
The Abyss. Yep. He was the cap or lieutenant in Navy SEALs, and then he was in The Rock as the commander. And he made rank almost at the same time he would have.
I forgot about The Rock.
How could you forget about The Rock? Oh my god!
I had already known a lot about SEALs when that movie came out, and so when they all got killed, I was like, "So that would never happen to the Navy SEAls." I was 12.
It's impossible. Impossible.
But yeah, Michael Biehn is the greatest Navy SEAL of all time.
Yeah,
that's true. He's made more SEALs than anybody else.
Probably. Oh, by far.
Yeah, I guess I really never thought about it that way, but that's.
He is typecast as a Navy SEAL.
He is He might as well be. Somebody should get that man a trident.
Yeah, I'm sure he's been to the compound.
Honor? Have you seen that guy? He's an Iraq. He's an Iraqi guy. and he's his name is Johnny Walker. Have you seen this guy?
Oh, I know Johnny Walker.
Yeah,
I know Johnny Walker.
He's like an honorary.
His wife taught me Arabic.
Yeah, the dude's
we used to go to language
crazy.
school. Yeah, I never worked with him. That was a little before my era. I think like he was the like
early Iraq days.
04. Yeah, like in his if I remember correctly, his brother got killed by Al Qaeda in Iraq for helping the Americans or something like that. And yeah, his nickname's Johnny Walker for a reason. He's told that story, I think. So I met him. He had just, I think the NSW had just helped him like emigrate to the States because like the threats to his family had gotten just too much. And so we brought him over. And then his wife was one of the people teaching Arabic to young SEAL students.
Yes, his story is pretty cool. I would love to get him on here and holler at him. But he
I can maybe help you with that. I haven't talked to him in a long time, but
dude, that'd be awesome. Have you heard his story? Didn't I send that to you, Tyler? Didn't I send you that little 20-minute video? Or,
if it was 20 minutes and I was in transit somewhere, I probably didn't watch it.
I sent it to my kids and I was like, watch this. This is why this is America right here, what this guy has to say. And I don't think my kids watched it because
isn't it wild? It's always immigrants who've come in the last 10 years who like say the most American things. You know, like because they came from places that are really bad.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Like
really,
talk to a Cuban.
Really bad. Yeah. Yeah. Or an Iranian.
Yeah.
You know, there's a sandwich shop in San Diego owned by an Iranian guy, and he's like the most American guy. He's like, because he fled, you know, when the Ayatollah took over back in 80 or whatever, right? And he's like some of the things I see happen in this country, this is what happened before the freaking extremists took over and put the Ayatollah in charge, and like it's just so gung-ho American. It's always immigrants, you know.
And nobody listens to that statement, right? Everyone says, "Oh, it's going to be different." Like you
well, we won't do that here.
Yeah. And then the Cubans are like, "Hey, what are you doing?" Like we've watched all this shit happen before, and people are like, "Calm down, Cuba. What do you know? We're going to show you how to do it correctly."
There's literally a playbook they're following.
There was a Romanian dude in 7th Special Forces group, and he would say the same things. He's like, "Man, look, I escaped communism, and this is how it was going." And this was in the, gosh, that guy he went to SEAR school with me, and then I saw him years later in 7th group. But he, this Romanian dude, I can't even think of his name now, but he would tell all the stories about, and this was in the early 2000s. So, Russia fell apart, or the, Soviet Union fell apart, what, 89?
89.
90. So he was older by the time he went to the Q course as a Green Beret. He was probably in his early 30s. So he lived it under the Soviet Union in Romania, and he was telling us all, because at the end, at the end of SEAR school, whatever, that whole thing goes down, and he was like, just talking about how much he loves America, and he's like, but there's all these parallels are happening that so
yeah.
But yeah, dude. Well, hey, dude, thanks for talking to us. I think that's like almost 3.0. We're at 2 hours and 50 minutes, and
I'm actually going to pee my pants.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. Thad's like, I've peed twice. I got this bottle right here.
Oh, you guys don't have.
He's got one of
bottles?
those bags. He's a little older.
Your little piddle pack.
I'm hooked up to a colostomy bag. So
quit bragging.
But dude, that was awesome. I'm glad we got together, and we should
Me too.
let's do it again. And also,
I'm happy to, man. I'd love to.
Yeah, we should.
We'll have solved all the world's problems by then, so we won't.
No problem.
Yeah.
Too easy.
Well, we'll have some new ones to complain about, and we'll figure those ones out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My prostate is this big.
But yeah, thanks for coming on, and I really enjoyed it. It's good to see your face after all these years, and chat with you, and we'll do it again sometime. And
yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tyler. It was great to meet you. Thad,
you
it was
too,
great
bud.
to see you again. I really appreciate it. It was great, and I'd be happy to come back on anytime. Just hit me up.
All right.
Yeah.